Again, vaulted the Noles back into the familiar rank of #1 in the land. And FSU wants to stay right there on top today against Wake Forest. Next. Looking at Chief Osceola on a gorgeous November day here in Tallahassee as the home crowd here at Florida State wants to see their Seminoles extend their unbeaten season as they host the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. Hi again, everybody, along with Doc Walker. Welcome to our ACC Game of the Week. Last Saturday in Chapel Hill, Florida State, Doc, did just what they wanted to do. They're in position in terms of the national championship.
Oh, so much for Judgment Day. All the Seminoles do is go down, they rip through the Tar Heels, and they take the turf as a symbol of their greatness. Now can they focus on Wake Forest and not look ahead to the Florida Gators? That is Bobby Bowden's challenge today.
Well, they will turn to a senior leader, Thad Busby, to try and get things done. Look at his record as a starter. He wants to finish another regular season unbeaten as the quarterback for Florida State. But as Doc mentioned, the Seminoles have to worry about North Carolina a week ago, Florida State next Saturday, overlooking Wake Forest. And Bobby Bowden says the Deacons have the Noles right where they want them.
A lot of times you play a great opponent, and then you have a letdown the next week. You're scared of a letdown. Or maybe you're playing a great opponent next week. Now you got to be careful you're not looking ahead. Now look at us. We're coming off of a chance of a letdown before a game that's one of the biggest we'll play all year. Boy, they couldn't have us. They couldn't have us in a better place.
Well, I don't know if Wake Forest would agree on that, but I know the Deacons feel like they have a shot at a winning season and a bowl bid.
And that was their goal from day one. Coach Caldwell and this group, you go back to the ECU game and the Georgia Tech game, two games they felt like they could have won. Now they have this obstacle, but he's done a great job despite having some injuries.
Bobby Bowden thinks that Jim Caldwell should be the ACC Coach of the Year. Jim is smart enough to know that all that talk of Bobby saying Wake's got Florida State right where they want him is just coach talk.
Well, I don't think that a team that's gone undefeated at length like they have in several different years and seasons, they never have a letdown.
It'll be a challenge for Wake because they'll have to go with Ben Sankey, their backup quarterback.
Well, one thing he can say, he's undefeated as a starter. This young man has a tremendous challenge because of the pass rush of FSU. If he can hit one early on, it would be the best thing could happen for Wake.
Wake Forest trying to go to 6-5. Florida State trying to go to #1. We'll have more from Doak Campbell in Tallahassee. We'll go down to the field in Mike Hogwood when we return to our ACC Game of the Week.
Today's ACC Game of the Week is brought to you by Nations Bank, by Pepsi, Generation Next, by Bell South. Bell South is proud to be the official telecommunications company of the ACC. By Exxon. the best way to get there. And by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company, the vision to power your dreams.
A sun-splashed day in Tallahassee, and this crowd excited because it is senior day. It's the final home game for many of these Florida State players who have accomplished so much here on this very field at Doak Campbell Stadium, and that includes the quarterback today, Thad Busby, guys like Melvin Pearsall, the tight end, Wadsworth on defense. A lot of great seniors are saying goodbye to Florida State football and their fans here today in Tallahassee. Now, what does Wake Forest have to do to hang in this game? Well, I talked to the coaches just a few minutes ago. They believe they have to establish a running game, and that means guys like Morgan Kane really have to step up. And if you remember a year ago, it was Morgan Kane who had a great first quarter against the Seminoles. He says he's ready to have a big game here today. Wake Forest feels they've got to take some pressure off of Ben Sankey, the backup quarterback who is starting today. They have to establish a running game. That's what they're going to try to do in the first quarter. For Wake, the first quarter, very important. And we're ready for the kickoff here. It's Florida State and Wake, an ACC showdown coming up next. The great pregame ceremony here at Doak Campbell with the flaming spear at midfield with Chief Osceola as Florida State has its final home game of '97. Doc, let's take a look at the keys to victory for Wake Forest and Florida State this afternoon.
Well, we start with Wake Forest. I think early on their receivers have got to realize they'll be in man coverage, and if Sankey can hit a big one early on, I think it really will help their chances. And for Florida State, don't waste any time. Come out, put the foot right on the throat, take care of business early, and don't let Wake get any confidence.
Wake Forest won the toss and deferred to the second half, so they will be kicking off. You see Davey Ford and Vanez Gooch. That's Vanez Gooch right there, awaiting the kick. Gooch will be the tailback starter this afternoon, and we'll talk about that story as the game progresses, as Matt Burdick gets this one underway. And it goes out of bounds at the 5-yard line. So Wake Forest will see the Seminoles have very good field position to start the afternoon behind senior quarterback Thad Busby. Busby out of Pace, Florida, having another good season, and Doc, even more so when you consider how young that offensive front was in front of Busby throughout the first part of this season.
Which started out against Southern Cal in the opener. I just think the entire staff is to be commended for the amount of young guys that they've implemented on both sides of the ball and still have yet to lose a beat.
They have become very effective out of the shotgun, and that's what they like to operate from most frequently now. And there's where Busby is with Gooch alongside him to begin the ball game. Jeff Myers trying to hit the snap down perfectly on a blitz. Didn't quite time it up and was in the neutral zone. It'll be offsides against the Deacons.
It was a good idea. I think you want to be aggressive. You want to disrupt things, get tackles for losses. But as you mentioned, he jumps a little too soon, and it cost him.
5-yard penalty marched off will make it 1st and 5 for Florida State. Jeffrey Myers, the free safety on the blitz. That's that tough call. You want the running start, but got to time it up. We'll set both teams' lineups in this first series at our best opportunity as it's 1st and 5. And Busby will put it up with protection and the catch and the slip away, then a fumble, and Florida State will maintain possession because it went out of bounds. Lavernius Coles had the ball popped free, but a Deacon player could not fall on it before it went out of bounds.
Now your classic missed opportunity. Again, Coles, number 7 in your screen, will come out, a nice little turn in. Ball is on the money. This is where they get real tough. You got to stop them right at the point of attack. If not, they pick that rack, run after the catch. Now this should be a wake opportunity. You got to seize that moment.
Dustin Lyman forced the loose football, but David Moore couldn't fall on it. Now again, movement on the line of scrimmage, and the Deacons trying to be aggressive. Jump off sides. The question is, were they drawn off sides? Kelvin Jones, the first guy to make contact, and
we have a dead ball, offsides on the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty and a 1st down.
Make it 1st and 5 again. I think, Doc, Jim Caldwell wanted to start on defense and hope that you could set a little tone by catching Florida State early, but the big play and the penalties have not made it go the Deacons' way. They'll give it to Gooch, and he's got a little bit of running room, but he is brought down after a gain of a couple of yards by David Zadell. Let's set that Florida State offense. Melvin Pearsall had a big game a week ago against North Carolina. That front line, as Doc and I have talked about, a young group. One of the veterans, Kevin Long, has been outstanding in that center spot this season. 3-yard pickup for Gooch, 2nd and short. Busby, a little turnout route. E.G. Green, 1st down. Seminoles inside the Wake 25. David Moore on the stop, but E.G. Green, the 2-time all-conference wide receiver, has had another good year.
41st reception. Boy, they are classics. Catches the ball with those hands, all ball. A pretty good chance. This is one thing Wake has got to do. Get them down after the catch. Don't give up yards after the reception.
Running that no-huddle offense, Busby has the Seminoles threatening right here. Underneath route and caught. And going towards the end zone, just shy is E.G. Green at the 1-yard line. And that's what they do so well. The ability to run after the catch, as E.G. Green quite nearly had the 28th touchdown of his career.
If we were going to beat a drum all day long, it would be on this. Moses right there. So you got to make that. Trip him up. Get him down on the ground. If not, you give up an additional 13, 14 yards and a possible score.
Reggie Austin was the guy who stopped the touchdown, but it's 1st and goal. They bring in Khalid Abdullah as the fullback, and he'll get the football and score it. But there's a flag on the play. Khalid Abdullah into the end zone, but let's get the call from the linesman who threw the flag.
We have offsides on the defense. The penalty is refused. They have a touchdown.
So the Florida State Seminoles, with a couple of penalties and more perfect passing from Thad Busby, get on the board.
Well, they were somewhat disruptive, but they were their own worst enemy because of the 3 offside penalties. And they never really knocked them off. And again, score for the Seminoles. And this is what they do. Get on you early.
So freshman Sebastian Janikowski comes on to try the conversion. And it's right there. Well, it took less than 2 minutes for the Florida State Seminoles to find the end zone. They have the early advantage. Welcome back to Tallahassee. Florida State goes 65 yards in 5 plays in less than 2 minutes for Bobby Bowden. Bobby in his 22nd year with that glittering record here at Florida State, and overall in his career, Bobby has won 279 games in his college coaching career. Touchdown on the dive by Khalid Abdullah, but most of the work from Thad Busby, 3 for 3 and 50+ yards. Janikowski's kick is coming down to Miles Savage at the 12-yard line. Savage finds some running room, and he's out over the 40-yard line and out of bounds all the way up to the 48-yard line. Took quite a hit at the end of the play by Jeff Cheney, but a 36-yard return by little Miles Savage. A flag on the play as well, and I think Florida State was offsides.
Well, he picks up 15 yards beyond his average. It's like we talked about on defense, how Wake had to blitz. Let's see who dishes out the hit. Let's see who receives it.
Jeff Cheney had that setup there, Doc. Miles was teed up for him. Here comes Ben Sankey, the redshirt sophomore out of Chicago, Illinois. A week ago with a solid performance in the victory over Rutgers, but a little different between the Seminoles and the Scarlet Knights. Herman Lewis will start the game at tailback, and he'll get the call trying to get to the corner, and he'll get a tough yard on the play as Dexter Jackson, the free safety, comes up quickly to stop Herman Lewis. Let's set that offense. Tabidi Davis, among the career best at Wake Forest, heads up a terrific skill group for Jim Caldwell. On the offensive line, a couple of seniors play in their final game, including Taris Clark, the senior out of Georgia. On second down, Sankey will operate from the shotgun, but give the ball off to Morgan Kane, and he'll barely get back to the line of scrimmage. It'll be a 3rd and long situation as Julian Pittman is at the bottom of the pile, the nose guard playing in his 3rd game for Florida State. Greg Spires had a huge ball game against North Carolina a week ago. The great linebacking core as well. And in the secondary, a young group with some changes. Samari Roll, one of the veterans back there, doing a good job leading the conference in interceptions. Wake about 38% on the year on 3rd down, but Florida State is very tough on this kind of play. They run the little fold screen, and I tell you what, Doc, Desmond Clark was being tackled as the ball was getting to him by Tay Cody.
Yeah. When you talk about tendency, well, Tay had this one figured out. He's in a press situation, doesn't get the block there. Deese goes out and he hangs on him. I mean, it's great recognition, way to follow through on it, and they dominate in the first series.
Peter Warwick will be back at his own 10-yard line as Trip Moore gets away. A high, beautiful kick. Warwick calling for the fair catch, but it will bounce down and be grounded at about the 7-yard line. A terrific punt by Trip Moore to back up that Florida State offense with still more than 10 minutes to play here in the first period. In fact, we just passed the 11-minute mark of the quarter, so Florida State scores quickly and then stops Wake Forest with a 3-and-out. Florida State atop the conference. They've lost only 1 game in conference play, that to Virginia back in -- and this senior group, Doc, wants to finish with another undefeated campaign in conference and overall play if they can.
A couple of these guys still remember '93 and that national championship.
Out of the shotgun, even deep in their own territory, Florida State will put it up out into the flat. A good open field hit on the play by D'Angelo Solomon as they got it to Vanez Gooch out of the backfield for not much gain.
Tough young man, D'Angelo Solomon. This is one of the keys for Wake Forest. You're not going to stop the dink passes, but what you can do is come up and nullify the progress. That's a textbook tackle, good play.
Florida State wants to attack Solomon because he's not very big, but D'Angelo's had a terrific year, the senior out of Decatur, Georgia.
Real tough guy.
No gain on the pass, so it's 2nd and 10 as Gooch goes in motion and Busby puts it up again. Slant route, wide open. Peter Warrick breaking tackles, and he'll have a first down out over the 20-yard line. They are so quick, Duck, you have to give them probably more space than you can afford.
And they take advantage of the space because they feel the void. So far, no pressure now off that Busby. It's like 7-on-7, so you've got to get in, converge, and make a quick tackle. You really have to credit what Wake was able to do against Warrick.
Busby is 5 for 5. That was a 16-yard completion, another Florida State first down. And Thad will put it up again. Same play. Warrick slips down, or he would have had more yardage. It will go for about 13 yards and another Seminole first down.
Well, it boils down to how do you want your poison. If you step up and press them, they beat you long. If you keep them underneath, great catch, good hands, concentration by Warrick, but I think it's Wake's best formula.
80 yards on 6 straight completions for Thad Busby. Underneath, it's caught by E.G. Green. Reggie Austin comes up quickly, but it's a gain of 8 more. Doc, right now, it's the hurry-up offense that struggles for it, makes it a struggle for the defense. What can they do here to try and change the tempo?
Well, you want a little pressure, more pressure from your front four. If you can't, you're going to have to bring a backer or bring one of the safeties with you. But I don't think you gamble right now for Wake. You try to get pressure like Austin did after the tackle.
Wake shows blitz, but it's held off, and on the running play, not much happening. Dustin Lyman again. Their leading tackler is there to make the stop, the sophomore out of Boulder, Colorado.
Sounds really crazy, too. You think that was, again, a good side stop by Wake Forest. If you can entice Florida State to run, you'd be a little bit better off because Busby back there with no pressure. It's just a matter of time before he's going to get a big one on you.
Third down situation for the Noles for the first time this afternoon. Busby puts it up against the blitz, and it goes incomplete. Good pressure up the middle by Kelvin Moses. Busby's first incompletion forces a Seminole punt.
That's just a great formula for Wake Forest. You're going to bring one of the backers this time right up the middle in his face, and you're successful with it. And for Wake Forest, no penalties.
So it brings on Keith Cottrell, a freshman out of Orlando, to punt it away. Reggie Austin, the safety, back at his 15 for the Demon Deacons. Cottrell nearly had that punt blocked. It's a line drive. Austin, trying to get to the corner, will run out of bounds at the 22-yard line. 8:10 to play here in the first quarter. We'll be back with more from Tallahassee after this word from your local ACC station. Jim Caldwell's Deacons with the ball back, trailing 7-0. Be sure and stay tuned for the Nations Bank Salute to Excellence question. You can log on to the internet for a chance to win a trip to the ACC Champions Bowl game. Second possession for Caldwell's offense. They went 3 and out the first time. Jim in his 5th year and his best season yet with his guys as they start at their own 22 with Ben Sankey, the sophomore. On play action, steps up, trying to run, and down he'll go. As it was Andre Wadsworth with another hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's amazing that a guy can be that good and have played the nose tackle position the year before and then come out and show this kind of agility. I think what Ben Sankey does is real good at that point there. Don't try to make a big play. Go down, take your licking, and reload.
13 sacks, best in the conference. That tackle behind the line of scrimmage was the 17th time that Wadsworth has done that this year. 2nd and 12 for Wake Forest. Sankey with time underneath as Tabiti Davis, and he is out close to a first down. The senior out of Charlotte with a good catch. His partner on the other side, Desmond Clark, is the subject of our first report from the field, and Mike Hogwood.
Number 83, Desmond Clark, injured his shoulder last week against Rutgers. It was a separated shoulder. He is really sore today, but he's playing with a lot of heart and courage. He wants to be out on the field. He is out on the field, and the word from the sidelines is they're going to let him play as long as he can go.
Well, Doc, Desmond Clark, being from Florida, would have to have that much more incentive to want to be in the lineup for this one.
Yeah, that is a real large component for players to get a chance to play in front of the home folks and get it done. For Sankey, now first, pure completion upfield. Money's right on the, the ball's right on the money. Good operation. He's shown no fear so far. And you know, Jack, I think that's the biggest problem when you play FSU is if you panic. And if you panic at the quarterback spot, you don't have a chance to beat him.
The pass to Tabiti Davis was about a foot shy of a first down, so Wake will try and convert on 3rd down. Sankey on the quarterback sneak, and he didn't need much. Wande Shaw, the fullback, with the surge from behind to make sure they didn't push his quarterback back.
Well, help from your friend. I hope they pay attention to this, because I think this is the only way you have a chance against FSU, and that is right at them. They've tried to run plays on the outside of the tackle tight end spot and have not gained a yard yet. So hopefully they'll put this foul away and come back to more things like it.
They pick up the first down. Julian Pittman, the nose guard, going off as he and Larry Smith will alternate at that spot. Mickey Andrews likes to play too deep on that defense, give as many guys experience as possible and keep them fresh.
And there's no drop off. That's the key.
Sankey on play action, gets outside of Wadsworth, down the sidelines for Lick, his tight end. He had it and couldn't hang on at the Florida State 40-yard line. Good hit by Tay Cody at the end of the play. James Lick, though, had a shot at that one.
An opportunity that if you hope to play in a game and be an effective opponent against FSU and possibly beat them, you got to make this play. I like Sankey's calm. See, no panic, still looking downfield. Throws a little bit of a duck, but see that ball you can catch.
I think back to a year ago, Doc, when Wake missed on an early opportunity in the Citrus Bowl.
First play of the game.
When they played Florida State during the regular season in Orlando and couldn't come up with a catch. You got to make those. A quick hitter and not much there. Wow. Chris McCoy, the freshman fullback, really got toasted by the interior of the defense. Greg Spires was there to lead the charge.
We used to call these on offense quick openers. Well, this is a quick closer, because look at it right there. Coward's there, he makes the initial hit, and then they follow. There's always a scrape and a hit, a top-off guy with FSU. That is their trademark.
Sam Coward, the Butkus Award finalist. 2 of the 3 finalists are from the ACC. 3rd and long for Sankey. Protection breaks down, and down he goes. Lost the football. It's picked up by Troy Saunders. And Florida State will have the ball deep in Wake Forest territory. Ben Sankey trying to avoid the rush, lost the football, and Troy Saunders nearly took it to the end zone.
the one thing that up until this point Ben had not done. You can't try to be Superman in this position. If you get away, see, now you're biting on free time. You got to think to yourself, take the sack and punt, because our defense just had their first stop. Now you give them the football and you put them right in front of the goal line.
Tony Bryant, a backup defensive end, knocked the ball free, and Troy Saunders comes up with the turnover. 15th fumble lost this year by the Wake Forest offense. Busby with a chance to put quick points on the board for the Noles. He wants it to the end zone, has E.G. Green, touchdown. For the 10th time this year, Thad Busby and E.G. Green connect for a Florida State score.
And this is why you don't want to give them the football in tough territory. Busby, they go right back at you. He looks at it, a little bit of a look off, runs a nice flag route, ball right on the money. E.G. comes out of his break, touchdown Noles.
Janikowski's conversion is right there. And with 5.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter, Florida State taking advantage of the Wake Forest turnover, increased their advantage to 14-0 as Thad Busby finds the end zone for the 21st time. Well, here's our nation's bank, a corporate partner of the ACC, with its salute to excellence question. This is a tough one, Doc. Now, you're going to have to think about this for a while. I know. Take your time. Hopefully, you'll get this answer. Which ACC player won the Heisman Trophy yet bypassed the NFL for the NBA? If you know that layup, log on to the internet address on the screen that you see right there with the correct answer before the fourth quarter begins, and you'll be entered to win 2 tickets to the ACC Champions Bowl game. Stay tuned. We'll have that answer for you before the end of the game. And, of course, if Florida State wins this game this afternoon, they'll be the ACC champion, and we'll be playing in the Orange Bowl. And if you win our Nation's Bank question, you could be in Miami, too. Much better kick by Janikowski this time, and Savage will stay in the end zone.
Smart thing. That's a smart thing to do.
Wake Forest will get the football at its own 20-yard line for its 3rd possession, trailing 14-0. Next week, we'll wrap up the regular season in the ACC with a great rivalry, the Duke Blue Devils and the North Carolina Tar Heels, 12 noon from Kenan Stadium. Check your local listings for the station in your area carrying Duke and Carolina. 14-0, Florida State on a 1-yard or a short plunge by Khalid Abdullah, and the touchdown toss from Thad Busby to E.G. Green. Florida State will try and shackle that Wake defense again here, Wake offense again here, as Sankey will toss it to the tailback Herman Lewis. And Doc, I think when you try and run wide, you run into trouble against this defense.
Yeah, I mean, they've had, of the 4 runs or so, they've tried 3 of them now on the outside edge and not anything over the guard center gap. Not to say that that's easy, because they stopped them on that as well. Look at the honor roll.
About second in total defense in the country and first in rushing defense. They allowed North Carolina a week ago 73 yards of total offense for the game.
Stifling, and you're trying to catch up.
Lots of guys up
There
on the
it is.
box, and they get the quick hitter out over the 25-yard line by Chris McCoy, the freshman. Sam Cowart, two number ones meeting together there, with the advantage this time going to the Deacons.
Yeah, well, this is what they need. I think that's the formula. You run right at them, the old quick opener. That way you don't put as much pressure on your offensive lineman. All they've got to do is make initial contact, get a little drive, and let the back find the crease. That's a heck of a linebacker.
Darrell Bush.
He's a heck of a linebacker.
A heck of a student athlete. It's maybe the best thing you can say about Darrell Bush. On third down, flags fly, pass is complete to Desmond Clark. It's a first down, but let's hang on and check out the penalty. Dexter Jackson on the stop, second catch of the afternoon for Clark. Ronald Cherry has been busy already, our referee heading up this ACC officiating crew.
We have offsides on the defense. The penalty is refused. First down.
Doc, talk about Wake Forest's approach to passing here this afternoon.
Well, they're going to go three-step or a quick five-step, and this you see it. Get back, hit that launch pad, get rid of the football. You know that you're not going to have a lot of time. They know it as well, and I've been impressed so far with Sankey. And I know as you watch Bobby Bowden, they're thinking, okay, guys, we want to nullify those first downs.
Play action on first down. Sankey going deep for his fullback. McCoy has it go through his hands. Again, Wake Forest with an opportunity, and the little fullback had a great chance go by.
Well, you build these plays in to your offense, and I know Hank Small just probably ripped his headsets off. It's so difficult to get a chance against a defense like Florida State. A little bit of the play fake. Ben Sankey sets up real well. He knows he has it. At that point, he's real calm. See, that's touchdown.
McCoy, after the play fake, as the lead blocker, ran through the secondary but couldn't make the catch. Second and 10, Sankey from the shotgun this time. Bad snap, ball is loose. And Florida State is not able to get there this time, as Sankey falls on the football, but it's a loss of a couple. It's the second fumble of the day. That ball hit Ben right in the thigh pad.
Well, they've had a problem with fumbles. That's their 15th fumble at that point. That's just quarterback center not being on the same page. But how many times do you see it? A missed opportunity and a touchdown, then you get a fumble because the team hasn't gotten a bad play out of their mind.
A 5-yard loss on the fumble, making it 3rd and 15. I don't like this situation against this Florida State defense. Almost a bad snap again. Down goes Sankey. Tony Bryant and Andre Wadsworth.
Coverage sack. As good as they are, and those two guys in Bryant and Wadsworth are dynamite. But at this point, when you get back, we talked about the three-step quick five. Well, this is a long 7, and you're going to go down. You got to get rid of that football.
Andre Wadsworth took 300-pound Brian Wolverton and threw him down like he was Raggedy Andy.
He is some kind of guy, defensive end. Speed, power, and there's 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, but Trip Moore had to get this one off in a hurry and hit it pretty well. Takes a Wake bounce and goes out at the Florida State 30. A 47-yard punt, and you keep it out of Peter Warwick's return capabilities, so that's even better. But now you give it back to Thad Busby, who has been terrific.
Well, they've been able to pick up a first down. They've gotten a first down now in the past 2 possessions, that being Wake Forest. Now they've got to strive to get 2, and they've got to get over the fact that they dropped an opportunity to score.
They've dropped 2 balls that could have been big plays for the Demon Deacons. Meanwhile, Florida State, for the 57th time this year, on the touchdown to E.G. Green, had a play of more than 20 yards. Busby will put it up on first down. Underneath, David Moore going over the top of Peter Warwick. All the officials in the stands wanted interference, and David Moore said, no, I didn't.
That's an excellent play by David Moore, because not often do you find people on the inside that will challenge these receivers, but he does. But we're going to bring it back.
Unfortunately, the Deeks were offsides. Fred Robbins, out of his tackle spot, was ahead of the snap count. That's the third offsides penalty against the defensive front of Wake Forest. Another 1st and 5 opportunity for Thad Busby, and Mark Richt, the offensive coordinator, loves making these play calls. Busby, the quick slant to Lavernius Coles for a 1st down in front of Reggie Austin and beyond Kelvin Moses. Cole's 2nd catch of the day and his 19th of the season. Thad Busby has a chance to be the best single-season passer in Florida State history, and his efficiency today has been impressive. On 1st down, to the sidelines to Coles again for another 1st down at the Wake 45. Reggie Austin knocks him out of bounds. Lavernius Coles was a tailback in high school, so you've got the speed, the versatility, and he says if it's a wide receiver, it's a chance to play.
And he gets the ball in his hands, and how do you bring him down?
Most efficient quarterback in the conference is Thad Busby. 10 out of 11 so far and a touchdown. Won't hurt that at all. Busby will put it up again. This time it's the underneath man, Melvin Pearsall. Pearsall heading for the end zone. Touchdown. A new Florida State record, the 10th touchdown reception by tight end Melvin Pearsall.
The guy's Lonnie Johnson's record. His big tight end is rumbling. Had a score last week against the Tar Heels, an intricate part of this offense. Like to see the guys that get a crumb every once in a while for doing all that blocking. See, you feel like you should have gone down there. You had an opportunity. Then he shows you that a little bit of that old background, huh? Athlete can rumble.
And the conversion is good by Janikowski, and Florida State, as they've done so often this season, with a burst in the 1st quarter, they lead it 21-0. Thad Busby. What a 1st quarter of football. They are celebrating early here in Florida State. Another look at the touchdown.
Busby, ball right on the money, crossing route. See another opportunity there. Missed by Parrish. You'd at least like to slow him down, trip him or somewhere. Nobody else is even in the vicinity. He's a 255-pound tight end rumbling down, basically untouched.
Go down to the field to Mike Hogwood. Mike, yesterday, Mark Richt, the offensive coordinator, talked about Pearsall not being as active in the offense early on in the year. Why is that?
That's because, Jack, they have such a young offensive line. They had to make Pearsall help out on pass protection in order to give that offensive line a chance to mature. But as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, that offensive line has grown up in a hurry now, and that frees Melvin Pearsall to go out into the pass routes, and he has been very, very effective over the last 2 football games for the Florida State Seminoles.
You are looking at Mark Richt, the offensive coordinator for Florida State. His 4th year now directing the offense after Brad Scott moved on to South Carolina. And he has been nothing short of sensational in that role as he is combined with Coach Bowden and the rest of that offensive staff to really create a high-octane unit.
And as you mentioned, patience is the key for these quarterbacks at Florida State. Thad Busby had to wait for Canal to leave, and boy, did miss a beat.
Miles Savage, who had a good return before, this time can't get it out to the 20 as the special teams group of the Seminoles does a good job. As we told you, a record-tying catch for Melvin Pearsall, with the 2 touchdowns this year have come in the last 2 ball games. And he's a young man who probably will not be done with his football career after the bowl game in January.
Oh, no. No, he has a future of picking up checks on Sundays.
Wake down 21-0. As Ben Sankey, the sophomore, in his 2nd collegiate start, bounces out of the pocket, can't get away from Tony Bryant. Boy, Tony Bryant, the junior, has had himself a good 1st period. As he gets the sack, he now has a sack and a half today and more than 6 on the season for the junior out of Marathon, Florida.
And you see the pressure inside, but what you don't see on the outsides is Cody with great pressure outside on Desmond Clark. I mean, he ate Desmond alive, and he didn't allow Sankey anywhere to throw the football.
Let's go back to your keys, Doc, and look at the one that you said was crucial for Florida State.
You got to get open, make some plays. Then they've had a drop by a fullback, but not getting it done.
Second and long. Sankey. The slant picked off. Touchdown. A 19-yard return. Was that Tony Bryant dropping off of his defensive end spot?
Murderer row, baby.
The first collegiate interception for Tony Bryant.
Bryant, who had 5 sacks, 7 tackles for losses. He gets a sack in this ball game, sweating it out. They're trying to get inside Davis with the slant. Great athletic ability. Gets out in the back, catches that ball like a tight end, and gets in the end zone.
He's 6'4", 270, and he finds the end zone.
Not fair. That's just not fair.
Janikowski's 4th extra point of the first quarter is right there, and in the final half minute of the first quarter, Florida State's lead grows to 4 touchdowns.
That a man can be this big and agile and get out in a passing zone, catch it with his hands, and then know exactly where to go. Do you want some, Sankey? Do you want some? I don't think so.
Probably, Doc. He was an outside linebacker in high school, and as he grew, they moved him into a down lineman spot, but still has the versatility to make a play like that.
And he's still growing.
Florida State showing no signs of a letdown or a look ahead to Florida. Just what Jim Caldwell feared going into this ball game. And Doc, let's get back to what you talked about in this first quarter. Wake knew they had to make plays to have it happen. Had 2 opportunities here to slow down the Noles with big plays on their offense. Didn't come up with the catches.
No, they didn't. They failed to do it. The Noles have turned it on. And we have to go back to that NC State game where NC State was down, I think, 21-zip. But they were able to mount a surge in the second half, put some points on the board. 27 points in the first quarter they were down, and they were able to turn things around and make it very competitive and put some points on the board.
Tony Bryant, 2 sacks, forced a fumble, and now the 19-yard interception for a touchdown. Sebastian Janikowski would think he's still playing soccer with all the times he's booted the ball already. This wasn't pretty, but it was effective out of the end zone.
That's power.
Check out this number. With the 28 points scored here in the first quarter by the Seminoles, they have now outscored the opposition 139-21 in the first quarters this season. That's usually the way you put a game away.
And you look at what has happened. Where have the mistakes been? Obviously, the interception for a score.
From a dead ball, personal foul on the kicking team. That's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Well, that negates a great kick.
The personal foul taking place at the 16-yard line. So the mark-off will be out to the 31. So Florida State will see Wake have a little better field position. Now the question is, do they mark that from the spot of the foul, or do they mark that from the 20-yard line, because it was a dead ball foul?
That's right,
and the kick into the end zone, and that'll take it out to the 35. Good job by one of the
15 yards will be enforced from the 20-yard line. First down and 10 from the 35-yard line.
I think that was Ronnie Stewart, the side judge, who jumped in and helped out the rest of the crew. And
got to maintain control of the ball game.
Got to work it together. There's Mickey Andrews, the veteran defensive coordinator, his 14th season as the defensive head here at Florida State. On first down, they'll toss it to Herman Lewis, trying to get around the corner. Gets a couple of tough yards out to the 38-yard line. Sam Coward is there again.
Stop was made by number 11, Dexter Jackson.
Dexter Jackson up from his free safety spot as well. Sam Coward, Kay Mays of North Carolina, and Andy Katzenmoyer of Ohio State, the 3 finalists for the Butkus Award.
And what they all have in common is that they have those down linemen that get great penetration and allow them to have room to see and to get the ball carriers. And Jerry Jones on that last play, Jerry Johnson, that was quite movement.
There are those 3 gentlemen we mentioned that are the finalists for the Butkus Award. Of course, the conference had 5 guys as semifinalists. Sankey goes down under an avalanche of garnet and gold. Back at the 30-yard line, Andre Wadsworth is probably there. Darrell Bush gets off the pile. And an appropriate finish to the first 15 minutes of football, dominated by the Florida State defense and the passing of Thad Busby. Florida State on its roll towards what they hope will be a shot at the national title. They have the lead after a period. Part of the great scene here at Doak Campbell. This is one of the great venues for college football. They usually see a very good product on the field. Ben Sankey's been seeing too much of that Florida State defense. He faces a 3rd and 13 on the first play here of the second quarter. He has been sacked 5 times today as Florida State just keeps adding to its total. 53 in this their 10th game of the year. Sankey, down goes the Wake quarterback, Andre Wadsworth again. Take a look at our Geico first quarter stats, and as you would expect, domination by Florida State. Biggest number, Doc, has to be the time of possession. It looks like Wake's had the ball all the time. But that's because Florida State just doesn't mess around.
Get it done quick. Boy, the tackles now are going to need some help. Both Wolverton and Flo are just beaten right off the ball.
Trip Moore with a couple of good punts in the first quarter for Wake Forest. Letting that huddle clock run down, and now it ran out. Not really sure what that was all about.
Have a crafted snap, have a dead ball, delay of game on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty.
Jim Caldwell a little puzzled. I mean, everybody looked to be in position.
Yeah, it was like one people could try to shorten the game.
So Moore will back up 5 and kick this one towards Peter Warrick again as the Florida State return man waits at his own 40. Moore with another good high kick. Warrick steps around the first wave. Look out. Peter Warrick has more to beat. Flags fly, however, it's going to come back. Peter Warrick finds the end zone, but there's a penalty flag back out at the 36-yard line.
Yeah, that was right in our view, buddy.
And another flag down at the 1-yard line. It negates a 62-yard return by Peter Warrick.
Yeah, we saw that right in the middle of the screen.
Might have a second penalty, Doc, down near the goal line. See what Ronald Cherry says.
On the return, on the receiving team, a 10-yard penalty for holding. Also, on the score, we have a dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct for excessive acceleration, also will be administered.
So it will end up being a 25-yard penalty. Look at Mickey Andrews. He's not happy about that.
Let's see, middle of the screen, 24 will come right up. He's trying a little peel block, but he's going to hold on to it right there, middle of your screen, and he grabs. Looks like that's Clark that he grabs. And let's see if we can take a look at the second penalty. Here's Warrick going on, saying he's number 1. A little prance. Drops the ball and see what happens.
Well, throughout the year, there has been an obvious push towards avoiding the spotlight type of celebrating, and it ends up costing the Seminoles 25 yards in penalty mark-off to the 38 of the Noles. Busby, the quick slant. Warrick has got it again.
Oh,
can he go the distance this time? Gets chopped down at the 43 of Wake Forest. A 19-yard pickup. DeLon Parrish on the stop. Travis Minor in the ball game now at running back for the Noles.
Peter Warrick, unlimited skills against Clemson. He had 8 catches for 249 yards, and a lot of it is after the catch. Boy, it's a killer move right at that point.
Busby again. He's had only 1 incompletion on the day. Finds his target. And it'll be another Florida State first down, it appears, as he gets the ball to Damian Harrell. Reggie Austin on the stop. Harrell, the 5th-year senior out of Miami. David Zadell there for Wake Forest as well. They've had only 1 third down play on the day. That's the only incompletion on the day for Thad Busby.
Moses on a run-through inside on that one.
Already over 200 yards. That pass hit the umpire as he tried to go to Melvin Pearsall under the coverage of David Zadell. Sometimes, Doc, don't you want to use, as the tight end, use the umpire as a pick?
Yes. He tried to do that. I don't know if that was his intention. Zadell had pretty good coverage on this. He reads him inside all the way, has a hand on him. That's just good defense, good coverage.
After 6 in a row, the incompletion makes it 2nd and 10. Everybody's spread out. Busby will throw it again, going all the way for Warrick. Incomplete as he battled with D'Angelo Solomon in the far corner. It'll be 3rd and 10. Good coverage by the little guy out of Decatur, Georgia.
Key to this one is that he locates the football. There he's locked up in man. He's looking inside, reads the quarterback. Now he becomes receiver. Slight little push off there. The good ones have a way to do it and get away with it. He pulls it off.
2nd, 3rd down situation of the day for Thad Busby. 3 wide receivers and a tight end in the alignment for Busby. They pick up the blitz. Slant route. Warrick, what a move on Solomon. First down inside the 15. They are so frightening after they catch the ball.
If we're playing out in the park right now, we say that that's nasty. I mean, Busby, again, we can't take away the fact that he's putting the ball right on the money. And see, you got to know going in. If I catch this, I'm going to spin on this guy. I'm going to take this guy that way and juke on him there. That's a lot to do all in one motion.
60 plays now on the year of 20 or more yards by that Florida State offense. Wow. Busby looking to the end zone. E.G. Green, touchdown. 2nd of the afternoon for the senior out of Fort Walton Beach. And it's 34-0 Florida State.
Mark Richt, the coordinator, I mean, where does he find blame at when he goes over his film with his troops? Hey, gentlemen, you guys did a heck of a job. Well, this has been a clinic so far.
Sebastian Janikowski with his 5th extra point of the day. And 3 minutes into the second quarter, Thad Busby with the passing clinic ongoing for the Florida State Seminoles. Lovely day here in Tallahassee with some beautiful scenery in the stands, as well as Florida State leads it 35-0. Thad Busby, in his final home game as a starting quarterback for Florida State, has been near perfect. This scoring drive took only $1.25 in 6 plays, all of them passes.
Yeah, following a 25-yard penalty. Boom, just like that, they make it up.
Speaking of boom, Sebastian Janikowski booms it 8 yards deep in the end zone. Stay tuned at halftime for our Bell South You Call the Play feature as we take a look at a big call from ACC games past. Florida State trying to win another ACC crown with a couple of important games going on elsewhere. Virginia and NC State. The loser there puts itself in jeopardy in terms of the bowl picture, and North Carolina and Clemson with a big game later on at Death Valley in Clemson. Sankey will put it up on first down, hit as he throws, finds his man, Tabiti Davis. Tabiti gets it out close to first down territory. It'll be 2nd and short as Greg Spires and Andre Wadsworth took a meeting at the quarterback, but Sankey hung in there and got the completion.
Again, Sankey deserves a medal for just being able to survive this so far. I mean, the pressure from the outside ends. I mean, every stinking play, you end up getting a visitor. You get a visitor to your helmet.
Yeah, I think that's the adjective Ben would use. 2nd and short, they'll go in the I formation, and he who hesitates is lost, and this time the hesitation by Herman Lewis prevents Wake Forest from maybe getting the first down. Not that there was a lot of room, but against that defense, you cannot hesitate.
There was a ball carrier, and there were 7 helmets right at the point of attack. What does Mickey say when he goes through his film study? Hey, you guys, you know when your socks are pulled up too high? And you know, I don't think your shoelaces weren't tied tight enough. Talk about a brick wall.
Look at
wow.
that. That's unbelievable that you would have nearly half the plays go for no gain or a loss. That's just terrific play. He did get enough progress to pick up the first down. Sankey on the slant route. Desmond Clark, a tough catch. Desmond Clark is playing with a separated right shoulder, and he just hurt it again on his 3rd catch of the afternoon. That ties the Wake Forest single-season record for receptions, and he landed on that bad shoulder, Doc.
It was obvious that he was not 100%. He's a Cadillac as a receiver. Big guy, 240 pounds, good forward lean, makes the grab and going down, Jack, as you mentioned. Hopefully he didn't re-injure it or re-dislocate the shoulder, because it is just a lot of pain. Watch the pound right on. Yeah,
looks like
he
rolled
right over.
it.
Yeah, rolled right over on it.
It's the third catch for Desmond, 69 on the year now for over 900 yards, and that's what he had coming into the game. The thing that the Wake Forest followers are most grateful about is that Desmond's got another year. Quickly, let's go down to the field and Mike Hogwood.
The Wake Forest sidelines have been shell-shocked, guys. They felt it was important to try to hang in the first quarter. They didn't do it, and now they're trying to regroup. Jim Caldwell has told his quarterback and his offense to relax. It's been very tough for them to adjust to the speed of Florida State. Everybody's had that problem that's played them this year, but Wake Forest has really had problems in the line adjusting to the speed of those linemen. They've adjusted a little bit now, but sometimes the other guys are just quicker than you are. But Ben Sankey is trying to relax and trying to get this team pumped up, and those 2 pass completions may help just a little bit.
Wake Forest forced to use a timeout here as they had some questions on substituting. Doc, let's talk about that situation that Mike just brought up. The inability for most teams to simulate in practice the speed you're going to face against that Florida State defense.
Even if you go ones versus ones on your own side, if you don't have guys like Spires and Wadsworth, and most people don't, then the tackles, in this case, Flo and Wolverton, don't get that look. You have to put a DB on their edge to get a speed rush, and a lot of times people do that.
The other aspect, too, I think that bears talking about and what Jim Caldwell's trying to achieve, when you've had sustained success like Florida State does, you allow younger players to get game experience quicker because you can make those substitutions without worrying about the outcome of the game as much. And it enables guys, well, Andre Wadsworth was a walk-on,
right.
Now might be the #1 pick in the NFL draft.
Devin Smith as well, and those guys get a chance to get experience while they win football games. And if they make mistakes, it's hard to tell because guys make up for it by making great plays.
Sankey got the word from the sidelines from Hank Small, the offensive coordinator, and Jim Caldwell, and Wake will have it 1st and 10 out near midfield. He'll put it up on 1st down. The sophomore out of Chicago trying to go up the far sidelines for Tabiti Davis. Good coverage by Troy Saunders. Saunders, who picked up a fumble earlier in the game, the redshirt junior out of Miami, Florida. And we've got an injured Florida State player down. One of the linemen, looks like it's Julian Pittman, 95, the nose guard. Shaken up on the play. See if we can see the injury, Doc.
He's moving in, got good contact, middle of the screen. Say, oh yeah, he gets a leg turned over.
And then the pile got him.
Pile might have got him. Here's a guy, strong lower body, 450-pound presser with a 30-inch vertical. I mean, this is just how the guys do that. 280 pounds. They can get up to 290.
Julian up and looks like he's going to be all right. Take a look at what's happening elsewhere in college football on this 3rd weekend in November. NC State needing a win to keep its bowl hopes alive with the early edge on Virginia up in Raleigh. Alabama with the advantage at home against number 17 Mississippi State. And West Virginia drilling Temple. The word is Ron Dickerson is going to be out as the head coach for the Temple Owls at the end of the season. Sankey rolling to try and get out of trouble, and then just fired it over the head of Jamie Deese to avoid the sack. It'll be 3rd down. Deese was well covered by Chevin Smith.
Yeah, that doesn't fit into the plan. You got to get back 3 steps and let it go, or as Coach Small mentioned, a quick 5. But when you start trying to rotate the pocket, now you're right in the face of their strong side pursuit. This time Coward is right in his face. Bryant, you have no chance.
Sam Cowart and Tony Bryant putting the pressure on. Morgan Kane, the back who was trying to block on the play, said, you know, the guys weren't that fast up in Canada when I played high school. Desmond Clark back in the ball game. Florida State with the blitz. They had the correct call, the little flip out to Morgan Kane. He was wide open, but Andre Wadsworth got a piece of the pass to break up the play.
Well, you just love it when you see great pass rushers that can do the little things as well. Get their hands up. If he doesn't get to the quarterback, strong rush, he gets that paw out. And the play is open. You can see in your screen that Kane had some room.
So again, that Florida State defense does not allow much for the Wake offense, and Trip Moore will come on to punt it away. Moore with a high short kick this time. Warwick will make the fair catch at his 20-yard line. 10:16 to play here in the first half. Florida State, in its final regular season home game, has the huge lead. Back after this word from your local ACC station. Chike Abunaway and the Duke defense will try and shut down the North Carolina offense in our ACC Game of the Week next Saturday from Kenan Stadium. 12 noon the kickoff. Doc Walker, Mike Hogwood, and yours truly, Jack Corrigan, will have all the action for you beginning at noon on our ACC Game of the Week. Travis Minor, the sensational freshman running back out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in the ball game. He has been terrific since moving into the lineup midway through this season. Busby will put it up and get it to Minor. A little underneath pass will pick up a couple of yards, and it'll be second and long. Travis Minor, out of the same high school as Warwick Dunn, Catholic High School in Baton Rouge, was the National Offensive Player of the Year a season ago. Look at that number. Busby has been throwing almost every down. He can't find anybody here till there. DeLon Parrish on the hit, but not until E.G. Green had the catch at the 36-yard line for another first down.
You James Bell, the coordinator for Wake, and you go, oh, that's fine. Now bring in another player of the year and put him in the ball game. Busby shows a little bit of mobility, and the guys, I mean, Wake Forest can't get off blocks. You got to get off blocks, and you must contain this guy. I mean, he's running free at will at this point.
That needed 417 yards today to set a single-season passing mark, and he's got Pearsall again. Melvin Pearsall, the tight end, inside the Wake Forest 30. Terrence Subers saved the touchdown. Busby might break the record by halftime.
Yeah, John Mannon's locked up one-on-one on Pearsall, who's having a game. I mean, when a tight end can split the zone, one-on-one, he reads a good read by Busby, ball right on the money. You love to catch it in stride. That means you can pick up big yardage.
My ex-tight end partner up here has been jumping up and down every time they've gotten the ball to Melvin Pearsall this afternoon.
Yeah, buddy, that's football.
Busby to throw it again. Another man open again. Lavernius Coles, but good tackling in the open field this time. Making the stop was Mark Makovic, the junior linebacker out of Pennsylvania.
When you get guys who are former running backs and they learn how to be receivers, learn how to run precise route, come back to the football, but you know they can run with it afterwards. But that's good defense by Wake. Get them down.
And as you said, Doc, learn to be a receiver. Caught the top half of that ball with his hands, not up against his body. Busby, slant this time, nearly picked off as Kelvin Shackelford dropped off of the line of scrimmage from his tackle spot and had a shot at that one. With a big sophomore out of Farmville, North Carolina.
Boy, this is another trend we see now. Florida State, we watched a little bit earlier with the defensive end, but Shackelford shows you why he's a down lineman, you know, and not an old tight end.
Well, that's that zone blitz package. You blitz a middle linebacker and you drop the nose guard off. Third down situation for the Noles. To the sidelines. Warwick nearly got away from D'Angelo Sullivan. No, it's Damian Harrell, number 8 rather than number 9. It's good for another Florida State first down.
Interchangeable parts. Guys' mannerisms start to look alike because they're so fluid. Guys are quick. And they all have that tendency. When the ball hits their hands, I mean, they're ready to take it to the next level.
Thad Busby was a parade high school All-American at Pace High School here in Florida. Was the state player of the year, and he's got terrific fundamental skills. Gets this to Minor, and Minor gets popped by Reggie Austin and got the better of it. Austin is the guy who is still down. It's a short gain on the play, and Reggie Austin says, "Why did you run that my way?"
You come up and you're just about to applaud him for a nice stick, and Minor shows you some of those skills that we watched a lot of here at Florida State.
Listen to the contact here.
Yeah, it's Warwick Dunlike. Kind of things Warwick Dunn made a living at.
Well, same high school. He's a little bigger package at 6'1", 190 than Warwick, who of course is having a terrific rookie campaign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's James Bell, the first-year defensive coordinator for Wake Forest. And this is a defense that's played pretty well this year. They're missing A.J. Joyner.
That hurts.
They're terrific senior defensive linemen. Not seen much of Robert Fatzinger this afternoon as well. He's had some injury problems of late. Boy, you wish you'd have everybody healthy and raring to go when you face a challenge like you get here with Florida State. But at this point in the season, that's not usually the case.
No, and their quarterback, Brian Cooklick, if they have Brian in the ball game, there are a lot of different factors. But still, when you play a team that can sense now about being #1 in the country, let's watch in a replay. Watch the headgear, because usually you can see you put the head down, you really put yourself in a position to where bad things can happen to you. You shouldn't really try to drop the head. You want to try to bow that neck and go through. I thought it might have been an ankle or so.
Might have been on the flip over, Doc, because he's getting some assistance as he goes off the field. That completion puts Thad Busby over the 300-yard mark with half of the second quarter yet to be played. Reggie Austin, sophomore out of Atlanta, Georgia. A couple of interceptions to go along to the numbers you saw there. So Thad Busby now is 108 yards shy of breaking Peter Tom Willis's single-season passing record, and there's still a game to go for Busby against the Gators of Florida next week. Busby will put it up again. Now runs out of the pocket. Avoids a tackle. Busby down close to the goal line and close to a first down. Doesn't run it very often. He's had a couple of touchdowns this year. John Mannon and D'Angelo Solomon keep him out of the end zone, but it's going to be close to a first down.
To keep up at this pace, Thad might even break a sweat. I mean, he's set up and he shows you that he can make people miss. That's a good football player that he runs by.
It'll be just shy, so it'll be 3rd and less than 1 from the Wake 2-yard line. Abdullah, the blocking back, in front of Travis Minor, and we've got movement and flags fly again, and it might have been Ross Brannon, the freshman left tackle.
To the snap. False start on the offense. That's a 5-yard penalty, and we'll replay the down.
But outside of Kevin Long, the 5th-year senior at center, and Trey Thomas, the 5th-year senior at right tackle, the rest of the Florida State 2-deep on the offensive line, freshmen and sophomores, most of them redshirt freshmen. So for Florida State to be number 2 in the AP poll, number 1 in the coaches poll, with the number of youngsters that have played this year, really is a great testament to Bobby Bowden and his staff and how quickly this team has come along.
And you're asked to come in and pass block, which is much more difficult than run block.
On 3rd and 5, they flip it to Minor out of the backfield. Good open field tackle by Jeffrey Myers, and Minor will be about 3 yards shy of the first down. What will the Noles do on 4th down?
Big Shackelford hustled over. He got in a part of that. Tried to take away the cutback. So you get pretty good penetration. Then Shackelford sent him your screen 73. He'll read it. He comes out and hustles. And here's Minor in space. He stumbles a little bit. I think that cost him.
D'Angelo Solomon hung in there to force Minor back inside. Myers came up to make the stop, and so Sebastian Janikowski will come on to attempt his 16th field goal of the season. High snap, but Marcus Outzen got it down, and Janikowski drilled it through. Florida State trying to win its 13th game in 14 tries against Wake Forest. They've got the advantage here in the second quarter. Well, they're enjoying the action here at Doak Campbell. They usually do Florida State nearly invincible here at home, and they go off on another long drive that for the first time doesn't find the end zone, but Sebastian Janikowski knocks in the field goal to up the advantage to 38-0.
Well, we wondered whether or not they would be focused. I mean, that would be the challenge for the Seminoles following the Tar Heels win, and of course with the Gators upcoming. And they passed that test so far here in the first half.
Janikowski's kick this time will come down in the end zone to Jamie Deese, but he will keep it there, and Wake will have it at their own 20. Coming up at halftime, well, what can we expect? Mike Hogwood has the answer.
Well, we'll of course have some scores and highlights, a lot of highlights of this game, no doubt, in the first half. We'll also have our JP play of the week. Also, Dave Hart, the athletic director here at Florida State, is going to stop by, and we'll talk with him about Florida State football. There is a lot to talk about, and that's coming up at halftime in just a few minutes.
All right, Mike, this beautifully refurbished Doak Campbell Stadium, they've really made this area of the campus beautiful here in Tallahassee right now. On first down, Ben Sankey with the deep handoff to Herman Lewis with some running room. Good block by Desmond Clark. And Lewis gets it out to the 35-yard line. Best running play of the day for either team, a 15-yard run by the senior tailback, Herman Lewis.
Well, Lewis was averaging 4 yards a crack, and the key is this: take advantage of the strong upfield rush right there by the end. Whenever you get an end, that time Bryant comes upfield. All you have to do is turn him out. Flo does that, and then Lewis gets a chance to get some unfound air and some grass for the first time.
Good block by Brian Wolverton on Theon Rackley, the linebacker as well. 1st and 10, and now movement on the line of scrimmage. Julian Pittman ahead too soon, and then he and Brian Wolverton say, let's exchange recipes at halftime.
Dead ball, prior to the snap, have offsides on the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty.
Doc, Bobby Bowden talked about the concerns of a little bit of a letdown and looking ahead. I would think if Florida State was facing an undefeated Florida team next week, their approach might be a little different today. I think Florida, well, look at that score in the second quarter. NC State still with the advantage.
Yeah,
Florida
maybe
game. Not quite the opponent they have been in the past couple of years for the Noles. Again, they'll run that running play on the little counter trap, but better diagnosis by the defense. Theon Rackley and Chevin Smith on the hit.
But then again, Florida State has to recognize that how big it would be for the Gators. They would like nothing better than to knock the Noles out of any contention for a national championship. And
Bobby Bowden had the national championship in '93, and these seniors were either being redshirted that year or coming in as recruits, so they want to have that as part of their legacy. The little inside shuffle pass to Morgan Kane. Kane in the open field, up the sidelines, run out of bounds by Samari Roll inside the Florida State 30, a 30-yard gain on the little shovel pass.
we talked about NC State and how NC State had taken that big thrust down early on and continued to fight back. Now, this is an uncommon hole. You don't usually see a hole like that against the Seminoles, but Kane has had some big runs in his career. Again, good blocks downfield, good effort.
Morgan had the 87-yard touchdown run against this Florida State team last year. Best scoring chance of the day. Sankey throwing the screen pass to Tabidi Davis, who breaks a tackle. Davis down to about the 22-yard line. A play that looked like it might lose yardage, gains about 6.
Chevin Smith comes up with a nice tackle. You know, Wake Forest, you get in that offensive huddle, and the guys are conscious of the score. You say, man, we're down, but we've got to get on the board. That's your goal. Avoid that goose egg. See, there it looked like a collision almost with his own guy, Clark. A good tackle by Smith.
Third catch of the day for Tabidi Davis, the senior, his 47th and the 159th of his Demon Deacon career. Blitz. Sankey going deep for Desmond Clark. Contact, but the pass will go beyond the end line, and it'll be third down. Good coverage by Tay Cody as Ben Sankey found himself to the turf at the end of the play.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what kind of tap this is. Oh, that's tender. That's tender. When a middle linebacker hits you like that, that's the only word you can use for that. That's mild, tender, whatever, because that's not normally what they would do for you.
Darrell Bush, the senior middle linebacker, actually a graduate student right now. Dean's List, nearly a 4-point student.
Here come the Dogs.
Here comes the Dogs. Sankey lets it fly again, and it is intercepted in the end zone. Had to wait for the call and give it to Samari Roll. Jamie D said, I pulled it away from him, but Samari Roll gets his conference leading 6th interception of the year.
And it's a good challenge. Good idea by Wake. I mean, you got to go for it. Threaten the end zone. The ball is just a little bit too far inside, and that's a great struggle. The ball lands up on his chest. He squeezes it. Good call by the Stripers.
6th interception of the year for Samari Roll, the senior out of Miami, Florida, Miami Beach High School. Doc and I were talking last night. Whoever recruits the Miami area for Florida State deserves a little extra check mark beside his name. There is quite a few from the Miami area on the 2 deep on both sides of the ball. 3rd turnover of the day for Wake Forest, and Busby's going to put it up. Hit as he throws, looking downfield. Good coverage on the play by the Wake Forest defense as they were going for Lavernius Coles.
Makes it a lot
Freddie
harder.
Robbins had the pressure on Thad Busby.
It's a little tougher to do when somebody puts a helmet on your side. Then it's no longer like 7-on-7, it becomes live football.
Florida State has 324 yards of total offense on the day. Thad Busby has been a part of 320 yards of that. 312 through the air and an 8-yard run. On 2nd down, Busby will go down. First sack of the day by Robert, nope, it's David Zadell, number 94 rather than Robert Fatzinger, 84. Zadell coming out of his demon spot gets his 2nd sack of the season.
Well, the offense showed some spunk on Wake Forest's side. It looked like they got close to scoring zone. Now the defense is coming in. We had a play by Robbins, and now Zadell gets a sack on Busby. You know, you can lay down in a game like this. You can wait until the game is over, get back on the bus, or you can come out and fight for pride.
Well, final game of the year for these Wake Forest guys. For the seniors, their final game in college. Busby on 3rd and long. Will go long for Peter Warwick, and it sails out of bounds. So Florida State will punt for the 2nd time today, and for the first time, Thad Busby has a 3-and-out situation as the Wake Forest defense was able to step up with 2:20 to play here in the first half.
Well, for Coach Caldwell, I think that's all encouraging. They're building a program, and even though you're down and you're playing the #1 team in America, I mean, you still have to show that you have something inside your chest cavity, that ticker.
Keith Cottrell, 2nd punt of the day. Fair catch taken by D'Angelo Solomon, just shy of midfield. They'll spot it at the Wake 47 after the 40-yard punt by Keith Cottrell. Now, Doc, I'm from the Midwest areas where I live, and the talk, of course, there is about the great Michigan Wolverine team, and you wish there was a way that Michigan and perhaps Florida State could tangle, but having seen Florida State on tape and now in person, and having seen a lot of Michigan on tape, I got to go with the Noles. There's a little bit more in their package than the Wolverines have.
Yeah, their offensive package is so explosive. I don't know. But Michigan's defense is awesome. I mean, it would be a game that, unfortunately, we probably won't get a chance to see, but it would be a dandy.
Sam Coward makes the hit on Morgan Kane on the 1st down play as they try for the quick hitter. The Associated Press top 10 has Michigan #1. Florida State is #1 in the coaches poll. Nebraska is still unbeaten. That Ohio State number is wrong. The Ohio State is actually 8-1. They were knocked off by Penn State. A lot of people in Ohio talking about the Buckeyes still having a shot at the national championship, but we'll need a few things to happen for that to take place. Sankey, quick pass out to Morgan Kane.
Nice move.
Able to run around Troy Saunders and get it into FSU territory down to the 46-yard line. Dexter Jackson on the hit. Gain of about 8 on the play. I'll leave it at 3rd and short for Wake Forest with 1:15 and the clock moving here in the 2nd quarter.
And Hank Small remembered that play. That play was open before Wadsworth put his hand out and knocked the ball down. So they go back to it and find success.
Wholesale substitutions on defense for the Noles. 1 minute to play here in the first half. Sankey down to the 35, goes to Beatty Davis and out of bounds. It'll be another Wake Forest first down. Flag on the play, however, on the near sidelines at the 45, and let's get the call.
Have all sides on the defense. The penalty is refused. First down.
Jack looked like that. It looked as if that ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. With pretty good concentration. It's kind of sidearms it to get it out. It was tipped. You know, Davis is on the roll. I mean, he has really picked up the slack with Clark being injured with the shoulder. You know, and Sankey has shown, man, he's a fierce competitor. Tough guy, played some defense in high school, state champion, hoop, baseball, did it all.
13-yard completion. Sankey going that way again. Samari Roll with the good coverage on Desmond Clark, playing with that injured shoulder. Big halftime show on tap coming up. Florida State and their marching Chiefs with Chief Osceola and the rest of the group. They know how to have fun down here in Tallahassee.
I would love to see Mike Hogwood on the back of that horse. That would just make my day.
I don't think the horse would be too.
No, I don't think the horse would like it at all.
28 seconds to go here in the first half. Davis goes in motion on second down. Sankey run out of the pocket, trying to buy some time, and then throws it away, and there's a flag down inside the Florida State 20 as Desmond Clark was trying to get away from Troy Saunders. We might have a defensive holding call.
I think you're right, partner. That's usually where that flag is thrown, in that vicinity.
On the defense, that's a 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
See if we can pick it up, Doc. Talk about why this would happen.
Well, when the quarterback gets outside of the pocket, you look for the interior lineman. There it is. See, there it is. Little cloth. Whenever they see that cloth come away from the body, you're going to get called. Good call. Another good call. Slowly but surely.
Pictures by our crew there. 20 seconds to play. Florida State, here they come. Sankey steps up, then runs into one of his linemen and goes down at the Florida State 20. Wake trying to call a timeout, and they stop the clock with 11 seconds to play.
Ben didn't want to run rather. He wanted to throw, and that was a case where he should have run.
Well, I think he wanted to and ran into Brian Wolverton or Jeff Flo, I think.
Then he starts to look up, look a little tentative right about this spot. Yeah, then I think he goes, what do I do? You know they're coming after you. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, Wake Forest will have Brian Kuklik back for another year next season, but I think these last 2 weeks with Sankey having an opportunity to play, Doc, has to make Jim Caldwell and his offensive staff feel even better about next year, because now you've got a backup quarterback who will have the experience and who can push your number one guy to perform even better.
And that's the key, that your team realizes that they can win with Ben Sankey. And so far, I mean, if you got a test to go against Florida State and you can hold your own, then obviously you're going to be pretty good for the remainder of the season. Game experience, there's no substitute for quarterback. They have to play in order to grow.
Everybody in this conference, Jim Caldwell no exception, trying to match the sustained success that Bobby Bowden has enjoyed in the 22 seasons he's been here in Tallahassee. Celebrated his birthday a week ago with the huge win in Chapel Hill against North Carolina. Has lost only one conference game since Florida State joined the Atlantic Coast Conference, and of course the winner will go to the Alliance Bowl, and the number 2 team has a chance for the Alliance Bowl or the Gator Bowl. And Wake Forest has to use its final timeout. They took so long getting away from the sidelines that the huddle clock was going to expire on them. Now they have no timeouts left, and really that forces them to get to the end zone now rather than being able to get a completion and maybe run off another play after a timeout. The conference with an opportunity, Doc, of having at least 4 teams go with the setups to the Peach Bowl and the Carquest Bowl. That, of course, provided they have the required minimum of 6 wins against 1A opponents.
That is what makes today's lineup so important with NC State and Virginia, and as well as Carolina and Clemson a little later on. Should be a heck of a ball game.
Georgia Tech also a team with a possibility. NC State would need to win against Virginia today and East Carolina in their final game to get to 6-5 to be eligible. Virginia needs 7 wins because one of their victories is against 1AA Richmond in order to be eligible. Clemson needs 7 wins for the same reason, one of their wins against a 1AA foe.
Takes you back to that dogfight last week between the Cavaliers and the Yellow Jackets.
11 seconds to play here in the first half. On second down, Sankey looking to the end zone for Tabidi Davis, too far.
You know, they load up with basically one receiver. So you got 3 guys covering him, and you got 3 guys who can run with him as well.
And with 6 seconds to play, Wake Forest will opt to try and kick the field goal. Matthew Burdick has a chance to tie the school record if he can hit a 16th field goal here this afternoon. Comes in 15 of 22 for the sophomore out of Mount Tabor High School in the Winston-Salem area. Movement on the line of scrimmage.
I think the Noles just gave him 5.
Prior to the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still play for offense.
That will move Burdick back to the Florida State 33, so it would be a 43-yard attempt. He has hit a 46-yarder this year. Desmond Clark is the holder. And this one will sail wide to the left. So as the first half comes to a close, a near perfect 30 minutes of football on both sides of the ball for the Florida State Seminoles, as they will take a 38-0 lead into the locker room at halftime. Bobby Bowden heading towards the locker room. Mike Hogwood will try and get a word with the veteran head coach. Let's head down to the field where Mike Hogwood is with Coach Bowden.
Coach, there's not a lot you did wrong there in the first half. Looked pretty good.
No, that's the best start we've gotten off to this year. We had a good start like this against NC State. Then they came back and nearly beat us, so we got to hold on what we got.
Your offense, though, your quarterback, Thad Busby, seems to be getting more efficient every week.
Well, I sure hope so, because our schedule keeps getting tougher.
What about this team now? What do you tell them in the locker room at halftime when you're up 38-0?
Just play hard. Just play hard. Play hard as you can, that's all. And we're going to play a lot of different people, so hope they can play hard.
All right. Good first half. Bobby Bowden headed to the locker room. His team is up 38-0 over the Wake Forest Deacons. We'll be back with our halftime activities here in Tallahassee coming up.
Than you thought. By Mazda. Experienced cars and trucks built with a passion for the road. Mazda. And by Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people.
Mike Hogwood down on the sidelines now with Jim Caldwell. What'd you tell him at halftime, Coach?
Oh, the big thing is that we had to go back to fundamentals. We just basically aren't blocking and tackling very well. Obviously, it's a good team that's got a lot of foot speed, and we're just too hesitant right now.
Jack, up to you.
Thanks very much, Mike. You can imagine what it was like in that Wake locker room at halftime. You want to try and, as Doc said in the first half, regain your pride with a good performance, but it's quite a challenge against this Florida State team that came in number 8 in the country in total offense and number 2 in the country in total defense.
But you're going to play a lot of different players in the second half, and guys who try to establish themselves for next year. This is your format.
3 turnovers in the first half. One of them returned for a touchdown. Jim Caldwell, as Doc said, will try and work on things for next year in terms of the mental side of things with this second half of football. Sankey on the roll downfield, and Samari Roll has the coverage on Tabidi Davis, and we're going to get a penalty flag. Sankey trying to roll away from Andre Wadsworth, and he still got whacked.
Well, they're going to try to run a waggle, try to secure the end. Here we get just good one-on-one shot, good camera work here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, he's holding on a little bit. Samar, and he didn't need to. I mean, he was right with him, hip to hip.
Fans didn't see much of it, but as Doc said, He took the right hand and put it right between the 8 and the 1 on the front of Tabiti Davis's jersey and got called for the pass interference. That's the last time you'll see that number 2.
Yep.
Deion Sanders started the tradition with the number 2, and it was retired and will do so officially after Samari graduates. 6 sacks in the first half and the 9 completions for Ben Sankey as Herman Lewis is just able to get back to the line of scrimmage before Darrell Bush takes him down.
Darrell doesn't mess around. And when he hits you, you go back to the huddle and you know, I think that was Bush. Guy closes. Again, we talked about him as a remarkable student athlete, great in the classroom, great on the field, has been able to overcome knee injuries in the past.
He was the first sophomore to be nominated for the Butkus Award. Semi-finalist 3 seasons here at Florida State. Flags fly. The screen to Morgan Kane, trying to bounce away from Samari Rowland, couldn't do so. But let's see what the infraction was.
I guess big people may have been downfield. It'll just be interesting.
Ronald Cherry and his crew have been busy. There were 11 penalties called in the first half.
Offsides. Defense line left in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still have second down.
Second infraction of the second half against the Seminoles. They've now been penalized 8 times for 79 yards in the ball game, as you see in that graphic. It'll give Bobby Bowden and his staff something to work on next week, you know, when you get into those meetings.
Mickey and Chuck on the sidelines, those guys angry, and they need something to keep this group motivated.
2nd and 5. They'll give it to Kane trying to get to the corner, and he does. Morgan Kane will have a first down at midfield. Dexter Jackson ran him out of bounds along with Troy Saunders, but they got around the corner as Joe Zelenka, the tight end, made a good block.
Very nice block. It's hard to keep the edge when you're playing the Seminoles, and that play takes some time to develop. There you see Bush trying to run it down. Pittman blocked inside. The big number 85, Joe Zelenka, got it done at the point of attack. Let's see where he gets hurt.
Into the pile-up on the Wake sidelines. Kane goes out and Lewis comes back in. Sankey play action. Has time going downfield for Desmond Clark, and it's picked off by Samari Roll. Roll's second interception of the day. Samari with some running room before he's chopped down by Herman Lewis at the 43-yard line of Florida State. A 30-yard return as Roll picks off his 7th of the season.
This was easy pickings for Samari. See, he's the inside guy. You want to have that ball on the outside shoulder. Clark kind of stumbles at the end, doesn't have the confidence because of his bad left shoulder, and Samari sucks up another one. Then, like the rest of the Seminoles, shows you he knows what to do with the football.
7 interceptions, tops in the ACC and among the nation's leaders for the senior out of Miami. Busby remains at quarterback. He needs 12 yards to pass Charlie Ward for the 2nd best season mark. Vanez Gooch back in at tailback. He catches the little pass for a 5-yard gain. Kelvin Moses on the hit. In the first half, Florida State ran the ball only 5 times. That 23 of 29. Wow. Movement, but Wake able to get back as Kelvin Jones got realigned. They'll give it to Gooch on the running play, trying to get to the outside. Dustin Lyman is right there for no gain. The Wake Forest defense. I like Dustin Lyman, number 43, the sophomore out of the Denver area. Boulder, Colorado is going to be a good player.
Been productive, man. When he's healthy, you always know and feel his presence.
All right, 3rd and 5, Doc. If there's been a problem for Florida State, it's been 3rd down, believe it or not.
Hey, we have something to get negative on. They're only 2 for 5. Can you believe it?
And on the year, less than 40% coming into the game. Busby with time and overshoots Peter Warrick. And for the 2nd time today, Florida State will have a 3 and out. as they don't take advantage of the roll interception.
And this is where Bobby Bob and his staff really have to earn the money because of the motivation factor. You got to keep these guys into this ball game. There's nothing more important than coming out at half and reestablishing yourself, no matter what the score is.
Now, he talked with Mike Hogwood about the flat second half performance against NC State. Cottrell's punt. Solomon will grab it at the 20 without calling the fair catch and got it over the 20 to about the 22. A late flag comes in at the end of the play. 34-yard punt. Might have had an inadvertent face mask or an illegal block.
That was impressive.
Ronald Cherry will let us know what the penalty was.
Have an illegal block in the back on the return team. That's a 10-yard penalty and a first down.
That'll move it back inside the Wake 15 when we return to Tallahassee. Florida State doing nothing to hurt its national ranking. Our Nationwide Insurance ACC Scholar Athlete of the Week is defensive back Stephen Phelan from the University of Virginia. Graduate student received his degree in history this past May with a GPA of nearly 3.7. Congratulations to Stephen Phelan, our Nationwide Scholar Athlete of the Week. Been an easy afternoon for the Florida State fans. Their team has been in control from the beginning. They have stalled a little bit of late, but when you're up 38-0, that's not a grave concern. At their own 12 on first down, they give it to the fullback. And the sledding is a little bit difficult for Chris McCoy. McCoy, the redshirt freshman, playing fullback out of Winston-Salem. Reynolds High School right there in Winston-Salem. Interesting package, Doc, at 210 pounds, but only 5'7".
I think it's the ideal size for a fullback. He's a tough guy as a lead blocker. How do you get lower than him?
Got a yard on the play. Sankey with a handoff to Herman Lewis, who is built along the same lines at 5'8" and 185 pounds. And he runs into Darrell Bush and Lamont Green.
Well, Gaskell, Clark, and Satar, those inside guys up front, you're gnawing away against these great athletes, these pass rushers, and you just hope that you can get a crease. But see, they get off blocks so well. There's guys who have blocked them, but they get off. You see Darrell Bush trying to top things off.
Lamont Green, he was a defensive player of the year in high school out of Southridge High down in Miami on 3rd and long. Sankey over the middle to Beatty Davis, trying to get the first down yardage, but an excellent open field tackle by Sam Cowart will deny that from happening.
Yeah, he made a mistake. Tabiti made a mistake going backwards. Man, when you catch that football against the Seminoles, you got to go north-south and in a hurry. See, right there, you got to hit the brakes and try to get around Sam Cowart.
Sam Cowart, one of the 3 finalists for the Butkus Award, said, "I wanted to be the best," changed his number to number 1, and he has played like a number 1 this year.
Backed it up.
Trip Moore averaged over 41 yards a punt in the first half, and this is a dandy. Warwick back to his 32. Trying to find the wall, and it won't happen. Good coverage. Terrence Suber leading the way for the Wake Forest special team. 49-yard punt that time by Trip Moore. Junior will be back next year out of Columbia, South Carolina. This is not just a little bubble of hope for Wake Forest. Jim Caldwell's got a program in place now that he thinks is going to get better. As you look at the Florida State schedule, trying to run the string again, and they are 5.5 quarters away from a second straight unbeaten regular season. Busby down the middle, has his man E.G. Green. And there's the concern of the speed. DeLon Parrish never broke on that ball.
He just froze. I mean, DeLon, if he breaks on this football, he either has an interception or it should have been a massive collision by Parrish. And here it is. You see Busby steps right up, throws the rope. But what we didn't get a chance to see was Parrish, who had a chance to break on the ball and didn't.
DeLon, one of the better tacklers for Wake Forest, but you got to worry about what Warwick can do. And E.G. Green, this time it's Pearsall. Melvin inside the 5 as he got beyond Dustin Lyman. So in 2 plays, they go 57 yards downfield inside the Wake 5.
The big fella's on a roll. And when you play this position, you get a chance to get passes that are over 14, 15 yards or more. Downfield, over the shoulder, great technique. I mean, what more can be said about Pearsall having a career day?
6'1", 255-pound, 5th-year senior. He's caught 3 balls today for 111 yards, including a school-tying 10th touchdown. First and goal. Abdullah back in the ball game. He gets the call, and Khalid gets it down to about the 3. He scored the first Florida State touchdown of the afternoon.
He had a good block, comes off the ball. I mean, he's a sledgehammer as a blocker. And as you mentioned early on, and Mike Hogwood, that they had to rely on him a lot more because of the young offensive line, so he stayed in and blocked a lot. But it's really refreshing to see a guy be rewarded for being a good blocker. Look at those numbers, Jack. Those career, man. That's career.
Well, and of course, you all would average like 37 yards a catch when you were there at UCLA,
oh, of course,
right?
Of
oh,
course,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, second and goal.
In practice.
Little bounce to Pearsall. Couldn't quite make the one-handed grab. Doc, would you have caught that one?
I'm on TV. Sure I would. Yes.
Well, you just know all your UCLA fans are
going to lay out.
Yeah.
I mean, because you don't get that many opportunities, although Pearsall is almost about to get out of the tight ends club. He's catching too many passes, too many going his way. And he's capable of that, too. Boy, he'll hate that. This whole day, when he watches this now, is spoiled because he'll say, woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Mark Richt trying to get him the school record, and he knows it, too. Chewing away on that mouthpiece, saying, I had that one. I had it. Third and goal. Busby to the end zone. Peter Warwick, touchdown. Peter Warwick gets his 8th touchdown catch of the year, and Florida State ups the margin to 44.
This is certainly not a lack of effort on Wake Forest's part. This is just great execution by some of the premier athletes in America.
Janikowski's extra point is good. Peter Warwick gets the touchdown. Thad Busby tosses his 4th of the afternoon and his 24th of the season. Wake Forest has watched Florida State's Thad Busby in his final home game as the quarterback of the Seminoles have his best game. And a 62-yard drive takes less than 2 minutes. That's the 5th drive of the game that has taken 2 minutes or less for that fast break attack of the Seminoles.
I just think about all of the time I watched Busby on the sidelines just tossing that ball while Canal was leading this Florida State attack, just waiting his turn, and it has paid off.
Thad Busby is now less than 30 yards away, or less than 40 yards away, excuse me, of setting a new single-season passing mark here at Florida State. So he might get in one more series just to get the record.
And I think a lot of this has to do with last week's scare at Missouri and Nebraska. And the top teams know now you got to put people away, leave your guns in until they tire out.
Ben Sankey under duress all day, and down he goes again. This time the sack comes from number 56, Roland Seymour, gets his 6th sack, the backup behind Andre Wadsworth.
Tony Bryant, he's the guy that made it happen. Lincoln didn't have a chance on him. A tight end that gets a good defensive end is a mismatch. And he got right around him and forced his pressure. Seymour, just another one in the production. They just roll him out.
Hey, Doc, how about this? They have gotten nearly 23 sacks out of one position between Wadsworth and Seymour as backup.
It reminds you of last year.
7th sack of the day. Sankey on the give and go with Desmond Clark as he was fighting up the sidelines with Troy Saunders, and they're going to call Saunders for the penalty. They've been trying to use the size of Clark and Davis against the smaller cornerbacks, and their response is to push and grab.
Yeah, they're holding on to him. But what Sankey's got to do is put that ball a little bit more on the outside shoulder. That way you give your big guy a better chance. See, they're caught up.
A 10-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
The problem for Desmond Clark, Doc, with that injured right shoulder, he can't really ward off that cornerback, but gets the holding call to pick up the first down.
This offense now for Wake Forest, you don't want to be shut out. I mean, that is the one thing you know now, well, hey, we're not going to win this game, but we don't want the goose egg.
Ball comes out to the 27-yard line. Jamie Deese in motion. He has been shut out today. Sankey had his pass deflected as he tried to get it to Deese on a crossing route, and it'll be 2nd and 10. Sam Coward, I think, might have gotten a piece of it. Perhaps Darrell Bush.
Seymour in there again.
Julian Pittman, who was injured earlier.
This is a good week for the Seminoles, who got healthy, getting more players back. Yeah, that's great inside. Larry Smith, I think, got his hand up.
Yep, number 96 rather than 95. It was Smith who got the deflection. Sophomore out of Folkston, Georgia. Wake will put all 3 wide receivers to one side of the field, and now Tabidi Davis will go in motion as Sankey from behind the center lets it fly for Davis, and Tabidi, did he make the diving catch? No. Jim Caldwell and some of the other coaches pleading their case.
Jim saying, cut us some slack.
Tabidi's in, I got my hands underneath that.
He's smiling though. He knows he didn't get it. But you have to fight for it. Sankey again, 5-step drop, kind of slings it out. Might have been hit. That was a knuckler. Yeah, ball clearly got away. Good call.
7:11 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Ben Sankey has completed 10 passes today for 106 yards. He's been picked off 3 times and has been sacked 7 times. Trying to avoid number 8, and he somehow did, and gets it away. No, they blew the whistle and said he was down.
Oh boy.
Ronald Cherry said he was in the grasp but not going anywhere, and so it is sack number 8 on the day as Andre Wadsworth gets another one. Ronald Cherry stopping the clock momentarily with 6:44 to play. I think he's having a problem with his microphone.
Mike?
I think he was going to explain to everybody that the play was blown dead, but I think everybody figured it out, Ron, so let's start it up again, and Trip Moore will punt it again towards Peter Warrick. Warrick had a 62-yarder called back this afternoon. This is a line drive that Warrick might have a chance to return. Trying to get by the first wave. Another penalty flag goes down as he's got running room again. Has to beat Trip Moore and does so.
My goodness.
Second time today that Peter Warrick is going to have a punt return go by the boards. Both times they've been 62-yarders, and both times they didn't count.
Oh, he's scary. I thought Dion was about the last guy that we would see that was automatic here, but Peter Warrick, I mean, he's the real McCoy. See if we can pick it up.
That's a 10-yard penalty and a first down.
Yeah, I think we saw it right at the bottom. It's hard to tell. He makes so many cuts. I mean, if you're trying to block for this guy, you don't know where he's at. He obviously didn't go where it was designed, but he is a pure natural.
Right there outside of the frame, the very first block.
Hands get extended. I think we're going to see 24 cut in and try to block a little bit behind. Right there. I'm not sure if that was called. He's fun to watch.
Boy, he sure is, and he's just a sophomore out of Southeast High School in Bradenton, Florida. Parade All-American in high school, and he is a dandy. Now, a problem getting the change line. Let's go down the field quickly to Mike Hogwood.
Well, there's been a big choreographed scenario here on the sidelines. They decided to let Thad Busby go in and run one play. Then they want him to get a big ovation and come off, and Dan Kendra is ready to come in at quarterback for Florida State.
Bobby Bowden getting an explanation from the side judge as to what the problem was. Ronnie Stewart trying to get things squared away as Thad Busby,
I think he'll take it deep,
goes to the sidelines and has
another first down.
Another first down to Jermaine Stringer. He's closing in on the record. Here comes Dan Kendra, and it'll be another week to set the record, but what a day in his final home game for Thad Busby.
Well deserved.
Nearly 400 yards on the day. 27 of 35 for 391 yards. Dan Kendra, the slinger, finds his man, Marvin Minnis, the freshman, brought down by Kelvin Moses. Thad Busby wraps up his home career with a dandy, an absolute dandy, and as Doc said,
it's not to beat the sweat on this kid for
him. Against a pretty good defense.
Oh, I know it. I mean, it wasn't like he was going against air. He just made it look so easy.
Kendra, the sophomore out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, likes to run as much as throw the ball, and the big guy rumbling and rambling inside the Wake Forest 40. A late flag comes in on the play. Kendra's only collegiate start came a year ago against Wake Forest when Busby was hurt. 13-yard run, but the hold at the end of the play will bring it back close to what will be first down yardage.
I think this was important for Dan to run early, get his blood going. I mean, get into this ball game. He likes it, but I thought it was important that he take off.
And right at the end of the play, Lavernius Coles with the block illegally, and it's the correct call. The fans don't like it, but you could see it in the replay. Minnis, the freshman out of Miami, being attended to on the sidelines. He caught the pass moments ago from Kendra. So it ends up being a 2nd and 1 now following the penalty. Kendra will sneak it for the first down, and you know, not the typical quarterback. Wake Forest saying they stole the ball in the pile. Jeffrey Myers comes up with it, but Ronald Cherry says no. Kendra is a 245-pound fullback who happens to throw the ball well enough to be a quarterback.
And lead the team in squats. I mean, it's second. You look at Trey Thomas is second at 1,180. And that just shows you this guy is really quite an athlete. Very strong, fast, a black belt in karate. But he wants to be the quarterback of this football team.
Did pick up the first down. He'll put it in the air on this first down play. Has a man on the far side, Peter Warrick at the Wake Forest 40. Fans want a penalty at the end of the play on the late hit, and they're not going to get it. D'Angelo Solomon on the stop, and Brian Ray got to the pile a little late in the Seminole fans' estimation.
Kendra's a lot smoother than a year ago. He was kind of high with his passes last season. Now he's been right on the mark. See, Warrick is down. Let's see the hit.
6 catches for 79 yards on the day for Peter Warrick. And one of the 4 touchdown catches. That one, a rocket shot that went in and out of the hands of the intended target, Trey Walton. Trey a little late getting that head turned, I think.
Better get it turned quick, because boy, they hit him in the head. They'd have to carry him out on a stretcher.
Kendra's going to stick it in the ear hole of his helmet. 3rd down, Kendra on the roll. Going deep and overshoots Walton this time. And it'll be a 4th down situation.
And this is the things that Kendra will have to develop with all of his strength and athleticism is touch.
There's Mark Richt, who has done the great job as the offensive coordinator, and
he's a winner.
Florida State will opt to try a long field goal here. Again, you're coaching all the way through. Janikowski's a freshman. Let's see what he can do in terms of distance. His long on the year is a 49-yarder. This is a 56-yard attempt for the freshman. He's got the leg, and he's got the distance. Oh, brother. 56-yard field goal by Sebastian Janikowski.
Man, they're rolling 7s right here. They're rolling 7.
3:51 to play here in the 3rd quarter. He knew it right off the foot. 48-0 Florida State. Back into this local word. By 2 yards, Sebastian Janikowski has set a new record here at Florida State, breaking the old mark of 54 by Derek Schmidt, set back in 87 against Miami, and this was no doubt, Doc.
Straight down the pipe. He's 6'2", 215 pounds, and he got all of it.
56-yard field goal by Janikowski, his second field goal of the day. The first one was a chip shot. He had to go to the 5-iron for that one. Took out the titanium driver to knock that one through the end zone.
What I like about it is that the fans appreciate special teams.
Go down to the field. There's an injury situation we need to update you on. Mike Hogwood has it.
Well, actually, there are 2 injuries, Jack. One of them, Marvin Menace, the freshman wide receiver, he has hurt his shoulder. He's in the locker room, but even more important for the Florida State Seminoles and the future of this team is Samari Roll, number 2. He has turned his ankle. They have taken him for precautionary x-rays to the locker room.
Roll with 2 interceptions on the day and 7 on the season. Out of the backfield, wide open up the sidelines goes Chris McCoy. The freshman fullback who dropped a long pass earlier in the game gets some redemption there.
That will help Chris in the offseason get over that earlier drop. This has been their bread and butter pass play. Little swing pass. Here you got a personal escort, Deese out in the flat, and it has worked for him all to the right side.
27-yard gain on the play before Sean McCorkle ran him out of bounds. Sankey steps up, has time, has Morgan Kane wide open. Kane is knocked out of bounds by McCorkle, but all the way down at the Florida State 25-yard line, a 28-yard pickup.
Do you remember being shut out in college?
One game.
Yeah, it's a terrible. And this is what these players are playing for right now. This is serious business that they want to get on the board. They do not want to be shut out. And by contrast, that's all Florida State is looking for right now, is to get the goose egg.
Lots of substituting going on in that Florida State defense. Sankey, a little swing pass. Desmond Clark, touchdown! Desmond Clark, the junior from Lakeland, Florida, scores the touchdown, and Wake Forest is on the board. His 5th touchdown reception of the season. 3 straight completions by Ben Sankey, and the Deacons get on the board.
And I think one that he'll remember or cherish simply because he's playing hurt. He has a dislocated shoulder. He's been able to gut it out. And again, playing for pride and also to erase that 0 on the scoreboard.
12th touchdown in his Wake Forest career, and he's got another season to go in Winston-Salem. 4 catches on the day, which sets a new Wake Forest single season mark. Desmond, this is his 70th catch of the year.
Well, the 2 plays that have worked, of course, the swing pass to the backs in the backfield and the full screen to the wide receiver. They've come underneath. Tabiti Davis has run it, and Clark here runs it to perfection and gets a score.
Boy, with all the moving, Doc, he went north-south, though, too.
Yeah, he did. He squared those shoulders up. You don't mess around against the Seminoles, because somebody will come after you. When those defensive linemen that were on the pass rush will turn back around and try to snatch you.
And when he can get it moving at 235 pounds, he is a very difficult man to bring down for a smaller defensive back.
I'm impressed with the way he's played, the way he's run routes all season long. This Wake Forest story has been a bit compelling. It really has been, because that man has done, Jim Caldwell and his staff, I think, have done a remarkable job. Their goal was to have a winning season. And there's Mickey, who has an attitude, and that's why I love him. Because here he is now up by a zillion to none, but yet he's trying to correct. He's coaching. He's trying to get perfection, because he realizes that next week against those Gators and down the road, he'll need it all to win it all.
The announcers for this game are selected and compensated by Jefferson Pilot Sports. This broadcast a copyright presentation. Any use of the broadcast without the express permission of the Atlantic Coast Conference and Jefferson Pilot Sports is prohibited. Wake goes 80 yards in 3 plays. All passes, all completed. And Clark with the touchdown. Matthew Burdick with a high, short kickoff. Fielded by Davey Ford, and he ends up going sideways and got it out just to the 27-yard line. It's only an 8-yard return. Another opportunity for Dan Kendra at quarterback. I know Mark Richt says that he would like to get Chris Wenke sometime, the 24-year-old, 25-year-old freshman. An interesting story. Terrence Suber hobbling off a little bit after being involved in the play. If Wenke gets an opportunity, we'll amplify on that story. And it'll be quite a battle in the spring practice time for Florida State with Kendra and Wenke next spring. Marcus Outzen, another quarterback in that battle for the shot to replace Thad Busby. Davey Ford will go nowhere on first down. Jeffrey Myers on the hit.
Last week against the Tar Heels, it was interesting to see Florida State let the air out of the ball. When they had to run it, I mean, they really established a ground attack. And a lot of people questioned whether or not they can, and they've shown on a couple occasions that they can do it.
There's Chris Wenke, one of the top high school quarterbacks in the country out of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, who decided to play baseball after nearly coming to Florida State. Spent 5 years in the Blue Jays organization and then said, I think I'll go back to school. Kendra with the completion to Warwick. Warwick breaks a tackle and takes it out to the 40 for a first down. David Zadell on the hit, but the exciting Peter Warwick gets another Seminole first down.
This young man, I think, it will be as good as he wants to be if he stays healthy. Is one of those guys that you'll talk about down the road with the Heisman because of what he does after the catch. I just think he's one of the most electrifying receivers in America, and he does this on a consistent basis. This is his game.
He's averaging about 15 yards a catch today, and I don't think he's caught a pass more than 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage.
You throw in his returns.
Kendra out of the backfield to Davey Ford. Ford not able to get away from Jeffrey Myers, the redshirt junior out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Got about 7 on the play. It'll be second and short.
We watched Warwick last year, and you could just tell that this kid was special, that he had a little something about him that separated him from the pack.
Lots of substitutions. Davey Ford, another one of those freshman running backs. He's out of West Palm Beach, Florida, Cardinal Newman High School. Blazing speed, better than under 4.4. Kendra with the deep drop. Downfield for Warwick and threw it behind him. Myers on the coverage. It'll be third down. Elsewhere, NC State still maintaining that 11-point advantage into the third quarter. They led 21-10 at halftime, and Georgia Tech trying to cement their shot at a bowl with the lead. Mississippi State spotted Alabama the early advantage, but the Bulldogs now have the advantage. And there's the big story around here. South Carolina and Florida deadlocked in the third quarter in Columbia. 3 of 8 on third down. Kendra on the quarterback draw. First down for the Seminoles. Terrence Suber on the stop. That was a planned play, I think, Doc.
Yeah, it was. And this is the benefit of having Kendra in at quarterback. He gives you that element of a running back. Takes a look at it. That was all run right out of the huddle, so you can watch the offensive linemen. They're fully engaged going upfield. That was all run.
Down to the final minute of the third quarter. Florida State well on their way to win number 10 on the regular season. Kendra, slant route. In and out of the hands of Walton, who I think heard the pitter-patter of the feet of John Madden and said, I don't think so.
That was a nice pass.
Now, in a lot of places, you would say when a guy doesn't fully extend, he has the G word that you can't say here in Tallahassee.
No, not in Tallahassee. Yeah, see, he looks down. You see a flash. As a receiver, you don't necessarily see it, but you feel it.
Call it turtle arms in Tallahassee. You can't call it that G word here in Tallahassee. Running play for Davey Ford goes nowhere. Making the hit was Brian Ray, the redshirt freshman out of Wheaton, Maryland. Loss of a yard on the play. It'll be third down.
Talked about if there's one thing that has happened today in the negative category for FSU, it has been third down efficiency.
They won't have to run this third down play until the fourth period. And that's what's going to take place. 15 minutes yet to be played here in Tallahassee. In the final home game of the season, the Seminoles have dominated Wake Forest. (48-7), Florida State with the advantage on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. That's Brian Kuklik with the hat turned around, the junior quarterback who has a hairline fracture in the fibula down near his knee. In the game against Clemson, suffered the injury, but he'll be back next year. Probably, Doc, had they been able to get to a bowl game, Brian could have played. But when you look at that stat, probably good that Brian isn't playing today.
Tough against these Seminoles, who have knocked about 6 quarterbacks out throughout the regular season. So you're fortunate if you can survive the game.
Kendra on 3rd and long, going deep down the sidelines for Stringer, who
got it.
Made the catch. Jermaine Stringer, a 44-yard catch as he out-leaped Terrence Suber down at the Wake 7-yard line.
That is the difference. Now here's a guy who was a state champion, 100 meters, 200 meters kid who can flat fly. But here he shows you that he is learning how to be a receiver, because at this point it's anybody's ball. Suber's there, he goes up, this kid locks on it, lost it, recovers it, makes the grab, holds on. That's nice.
Oh,
look
man.
at that. Look at that.
I tell you
good
what,
work.
That's as good a camera shot as you're going to find. That was outstanding
Excellent
work, gentlemen. 1st and goal for the Seminoles. Kendra on the slant and threw it at the feet of Walton. I tell you what, let's get one more look at that previous catch by Jermaine Stringer. This is great camera work.
This is award-winning. He goes up, initially has it, then watch it on the shoulder pads. This beautiful right there. That will be a photo. I bet that will be nationwide with that ball right on the side of his helmet.
Tell you what, shows the strength that the freshman has in those hands, the back end of the ball, and kind of keep it from touching the turf.
Kendra needed a deep completion too. That's been really his Achilles.
2nd and goal. Kendra to the end zone for Peter Warwick. Tight coverage from David Moore. Peter thinks maybe a little too tight. It'll be 3rd and goal.
And again, if you don't get your head snapped around properly, he throws a laser.
Kendra 5 of 11 now on the day for 79 yards after Thad Busby threw for nearly 400 yards.
When you watch Dan, he just seems to do everything strong.
Florida State's going to take a timeout, and we will as well. The Seminoles leading big with a chance to add to their edge. next week, Chris Geldorf will lead the top 10 ranked Carolina Tar Heels against the Duke Blue Devils in our ACC Game of the Week, the 12 o'clock kickoff. Chris hoping to atone for a tough day last year in Durham when he broke his ankle against the Duke Blue Devils. We'll have the action for you at noon. Check your local listings for the station in your area. Bobby Bowden hoping to see his offense hit the high water mark on points for the season on 3rd and goal. Against the blitz, Kendra dumps it out to Pearsall.
Handle Pearsall. You know he wants to get that end zone. He would like to have sole possession of that record with tight ends, and he just can't get it.
Good read by Kendra, but not enough.
Yeah, it's a good read. And he put the ball in a place where Melvin could make a play at it.
Good assist by my partner as I sat here and choked momentarily to jump in there.
Just don't force me to do the Heimlich, please.
Well, after a 56-yarder, another try of 21, and
money.
It goes through.
Pure money.
That ties the high water mark on the season. 51 points on the board. That'll be officially a 20-yard field goal for Sebastian Janikowski. There was a battle for the kicking job at the start of the season. Janikowski came on, and Doc, just what we've seen of that leg, no doubt that he belongs in that spot.
Yeah, no, Bobby made the right decision. Might have been a tough one, but the best interest of the team, I think the right man is kicking.
Well, here's our Nations Bank ACC Salute to Excellence question again. Doc had to think about this for a while. The answer? Well, of course, it's one of the greats to play here at Florida State, Charlie Ward, who is currently the starting point guard for the New York Knicks.
A couple of real nice assists the other night by Charlie.
Well, much like his time here at Florida State, where he was patient and waited for the opportunity, doing the same thing in the NBA now. Jim Caldwell has seen his team put points on the board, and at least on a couple occasions here in the second half, Doc, forced the field goal rather than another touchdown. You look for those small wins in the larger picture.
He'll still go back to the offside penalties in the beginning of the game, drop touchdown early on. There are enough things he can continue to coach in the offseason.
Savage at his 8. No blockers in front of him as the wall was to his left, and he'll go down just shy of the 20-yard line. Well, it was in 1993 that Charlie Ward led these Florida State Seminoles to a national championship. Some of the seniors, as we said, were redshirts that year or being recruited, and Florida State certainly with an opportunity to challenge for the national title here in '97.
It's in their control, and that's all you asked for.
Ben Sankey, who threw 3 straight completions to go 80 yards on the last Wake possession, goes underneath to Desmond Clark again, who tried to duck underneath a couple of Seminoles. McCorkle leading the way again.
Desmond's a little too big to be able to duck under anybody.
Doc, how about this number for the variety for Florida State today? 10 different guys have caught passes for the Seminoles.
That makes for a great work week.
Underneath, Jamie Deese on the crossing route will pick up the first down. Hauled down on the play by Derek Gibson, but it's a 20-yard completion, and Ben Sankey showing that at least against the backups, he can pick this Florida State defense apart. And Mickey Andrews told us, Doc, you get down into the lower part of the depth chart in their secondary, they struggle.
Yeah, if there is a weakness, but still, boy, Gibson showed you some speed. He closed that cushion immediately.
And Florida State's going to use a timeout here to try and slow it down, and we're going to take a break as well. 12:37 to play in this one. Florida State leading 51-7. We'll be back after this word from your local ACC station. Back here in Tallahassee, Florida State leading 51-7. Wake with the ball, 1st and 10, just shy of midfield. Thad Busby in his final home game as a Seminole. Nearly 400 yards passing on the day.
No, I tell you what. Do you see any sweat from that young man?
Sankey, a little underneath route to Jamie Deese, and Deese, after being shut out most of the day, has caught the last 2 from Ben Sankey. Troy Sanders on the stop, but it's another Demon Deacon first down. Jamie Deese, just a sophomore. He's going to have lots of productive afternoons yet to come for the Demon Deacons. Sankey steps up, but stepped right into the path of Greg Spires, who gets his 9th sack of the year and the 8th sack of this game by the Florida State defense. They now have totaled 56 sacks in 57, the 9th sack.
And I still see the starters on the field. We're talking about backups.
Ball popped loose from Kai Sneed at the end of the play. And no, they say he was down. Sneed running the fold route, the 5th-year senior out of Miami. They say the ground caused the cough up of the ball.
It was good hands. And there comes Mickey's boys bringing the lumber.
Might have been a break for Wake Forest. They'll take it. 3rd and long. Sankey facing the pressure, steps up, and will go down close to the 40 as he scrambles for about 7 yards on the play. Andre Wadsworth is there. It'll be a 4th down situation for the Demon Deacons. Andre Wadsworth, the ex-walk-on, what a player.
Talk about self-determination.
One of his earlier sacks on the day. 4th down. Sankey has a man wide open. Desmond Clark, 1st down. Desmond Clark will keep Wake Forest in possession of the football on the completion of nearly 20 yards.
It really says a lot about the character of Desmond Clark, who is playing injured. Ben Sankey, who has said it, has not played like a guy that's scared or erratic. He's just been under a lot of pressure. 17 completions for over 240 yards for Sankey. Deese can't make the play as Sankey had to get rid of it under duress. Down to the sidelines, Mike Hogwood with some of the Seminole followers.
This has been a great day for the fans here in the stands, and I mean, they're all chopping right now. Hey, Chip, you're not chopping, man. What's up? What about, all right, tell me about this team. Did you have any idea that they have a shot for the national championship?
Actually, I thought all year long that we'd actually have a good chance at the national championship. I actually have some bets that looks like I'm going to win because we're number 1.
All right, the students are into it. Their team's playing great.
And their defense is into it all the way back to the 43-yard line. Lamont Green, Darrell Bush. Darrell Bush will get credit for part of that sack, putting him at more than 5 quarterback takedowns on the year, but it was Lamont Green who made first contact.
Yeah, the A-team is in, and the A-team is going after it.
Loss of 15 on the play, 10 sacks on the day for that Florida State defense. They know how to get vertical, offensively and defensively.
I think the Florida Gators might have been looking ahead against the Gamecocks.
On 3rd down, Sankey steps up, lets it fly, and the closest man to it was the Seminole down there, Chevin Smith.
Another walk-on who's done exceptionally well here at FSU.
Might have been a breakdown of communication. Tabiti Davis was the closest Wake player and looked like, or make that Kai Sneed, and he was running a flag route, and Sankey threw a post route. So Trip Moore will come on and punt. Florida State does not even send a safety back, not really worrying about a return here and playing for the fake. Moore trying to angle it to the corner, but it will go into the end zone for the touchback. 9:44 to play in this one. Florida State equaling its best offensive output of the year, leading 51-7. Next Saturday, our ACC Game of the Week will feature Chike Abunawe and the Duke Blue Devils against the North Carolina Tar Heels. 12 o'clock to kickoff. Check your local listings for the station in your area. North Carolina still with a shot at the Alliance Bowl if they can beat Clemson later today. And Duke in their final game, depending on where they would finish in the national rankings, if they go at 10-1. Dan Kendra still the quarterback. They're trying to set up the screen on the near side, and good play by Wake Forest. It looked like the receiver, William McCray, might have also inadvertently tripped over one of his own people, Jared Moon, the center, who was trying to block for him. Credit on the tackle, Doc, will go to Abdul Geis, who's now in at middle linebacker.
Not an easy play to run. Any of those screens are pretty complicated, but it's, you know, it's part of their arsenal here at Florida State.
McCray got back to the line of scrimmage, so it'll be 2nd and 10 as Kendra pumps once, now scrambles, and will go down after a gain of about a yard.
Might have been their first snap under center
in a while.
Whole ball game.
Clinton Wilburn gets credit for the tackle. Kelvin Shackelford there as well. .8:35 to play here in the 4th period. 3rd down situation for the Noles. 3rd and 8. Kendra on the play action with time over the middle, pass deflected. Dustin Lyman got in front of it to force another Florida State punt. And let's go to Mike Hogwood.
Hey, we're through the stands here at Doak Cable, and Allen is the drum major. Hey, the band, this is one of the best bands in the ACC. Tell me about your guys and your role.
Well, what we do here, man, we perform at halftime, we perform at pregame, but our #1 priority is get this team pumped up in the big games. This might not be a big game, but our big game was last week, and our biggest game is next week against Florida. You can bet we're going to be pumped up for that.
Get something going for me right now. Let's do something.
Like John Philip Sousa, there's Mike Hogwood. Come on, Hog, you should be he's directing the band here.
Hog has clout.
Come on, Mike, get up there alongside of him. You can do that.
I can do that. All right. High five. You guys are doing great.
Hoggy.
This band is pretty awesome up here, I got to tell you. And if I was playing, they'd be pumping you up. There's no doubt about it.
Attaboy, Michael.
Hogwood.
The only, you know, it was disappointing, though. I wanted to see him twirl the baton.
Yeah.
You know, that's...
Well, he used to do it.
Well,
in high school.
Yeah, that's right.
Wasn't he a cheerleader?
Florida State had to use a timeout to get the proper personnel on the field. And now they're ready to go. Keith Cottrell will punt. Wobbly kick, fair catch called for by Solomon and taken at the 46-yard line, and Wake Forest will have good field position with just over 8 minutes to play. 32-yard punt by Cottrell. Bobby Bowden, win number 280 in the 32 years of his career, tucked safely into the book. That's what's amazing.
Is that tension? Is that tension? I don't think so.
But you're talking about a guy in his career averaging over 8 wins a season. Yeah. That's a remarkable number. And of course, even better than that here at Florida State, almost 10 wins a season.
That's how it ought to be. You work hard all week. Ooh, that was close.
Chris McCoy knew danger was lurking. Warning, Will Robinson, warning, as Abdul Howard let him go.
Use caution when entering this area. Still like Sankey, but that one right there needs to be there a little earlier.
Abdul Howard among the backup players, getting some playing time here. 2nd and 10. Sankey goes underneath.
Got to get it upfield.
Jamie Deese trying to find extra room. Got it into midfield, as it's a convention of Seminole defenders. That was Morgan Kane, actually, 22 rather than 21, but
that's a swarm. You love that on defense, to swarm to the football.
Well, they play everything at high octane, offensively and defensively. Here they come again. Sankey underneath to Deese, who had the ball, lost it, and they're going to say incomplete. Stripped on the play with good coverage in the secondary by Todd Fryer, the free safety. Of course, Todd's brother Matt was part of a national championship team in '93. He wants to be part of one in '97, and there is the sack total today for nearly 60 yards in losses.
Screamers. Yeah, Matt, good receiver.
They'll go for it on 4th and 4. Sankey trying to run for it, and he won't get it. Coming up quickly was Brian Allen to stop Sankey shy of the first down, and the Florida State defense holds again.
That is how you make a name for yourself. One-on-one, Allen the linebacker, open field, against a pretty good athlete in Sankey, and he stones it.
Freshman out of Lake City, Florida, will get some plaudits from his teammates and the defensive coaches for the good play on 4th down.
There's one thing about Sankey that he'll have to do is when he makes up his mind to run, he really needs to kick it into a lower gear.
Dan Kendra remains the quarterback. Looking deep downfield, Kendra looking for Jermaine Stringer, and D'Angelo Solomon is going to be called for interference. D'Angelo Solomon got turned around, never could find the football, and the contact will force the interference call.
Yeah, D'Angelo, usually a smooth operator under pressure. This time he panics.
Ronald Cherry giving us the indication of the pass interference, and it'll be a 15-yard walk-off.
We have pass interference on the defense. That's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot and an automatic first down.
Tell you what, Dan Kendra, when he played up there in Pennsylvania, Doc, if he played in late November or early December, they'd have to de-ice the football, because, I mean, it's high altitude when he goes deep. So it'll give the Noles a first down at the 38 of Wake. They'll give it to Davey Ford. Ford trying to dance around, but Mark Makovic. They'll make that Brian Ray, who was there on the stop. You know, they tell you in football, be ready for everything, be alert for everything. Watch on that 4th down play, Morgan Kane says, well, nothing's going to happen. Guess what? Boom.
They say keep your head on a swivel. What our old coaches used to say at UCLA, keep your head on a swivel.
Sean McCorkle said, hi.
I got you. I got you.
2nd and long. Kendra this time fakes it, nearly lost the football as Brian Ray did not bite on the play, and he gets the sack back to the 46-yard line. Let's get an injury update from Mike Hogwood.
Well, we told you about Samari Roll going to the locker room. There is good news. Those x-rays are negative, and the trainers have just told me that they expect Samari Roll will be ready to play against Florida next week.
Well, when you got to worry about Jaquez Green, Mike, you certainly want to have Samari Roll out there.
That'll be a heck of a matchup. I think Florida is going to give it a good shot. I mean, I don't think that they're just going to show up and roll over. I think it's going to be a good ball game.
3rd and 19 for Kendra. Play action will go to the sidelines to Peter Warwick, and Peter can't make the catch in front of D'Angelo Solomon. It'll force another Cottrell punt.
Shows you, boy, the control that Busby had on this offense.
Virginia trying to rally. NC State hanging on. Of course, NC State has to win to keep their bowl hopes alive. Georgia Tech with a good first half. That would cement a bowl shot for the Yellow Jackets, at least in terms of eligibility for a bowl. Block try and a pretty good punt. Solomon at the 10, and the Garnet and Gold Horde run him out of bounds at the 11. A 37-yard punt by the freshman Cottrell. 5:41 to play in this one. Wake Forest season will end at 5-6 for guys like D'Angelo Solomon. Their final college football game might not be the fond memories they'd want to wrap up their college career, but a good final season for Solomon, and those guys know that they were part of the foundation for Jim Caldwell, who Bobby Bowden says should be the coach of the year in the conference for the job he's done. Sankey trying to avoid the sack, gets it back to the line of scrimmage, and it'll be 2nd and 10.
It's just so hard to argue when you look at what this staff, Jim Caldwell and his group, just on the defensive side alone, they improved by 151 yards on run defense. I mean, come on. You know, these athletes, he's got another good group that will come off the red shirt list, so it looks good for Wake Forest.
Nobody else in the backfield for Sankey, and now he has some running room, and Ben Sankey will scramble for a first down out over the 30-yard line.
That's the way Ben's got to run with the football. Once he commits to the run, he's got to take off and make people miss.
19-yard run by the sophomore out of Chicago.
I like a guy that will stay in the pocket, look for the pass, but when it's not there, you got to turn it into an athlete.
Double pumped and then threw it away as Desmond Clark ran the out route. He had a couple of Seminoles in his face, and on a day in which you've been sacked 9 times and who knows how many times he's been knocked to the turf, you try and do what you can do.
There's no student union party for the opponents to play quarterback against FSU.
Well, Ben trying to do something that only 3 other quarterbacks have done this year, play the whole game.
Right.
Against Florida State. They have knocked 6 quarterbacks out of ball games the first 9 of the season. Sankey flips it out to Morgan Kane. Kane, good blocking hit by Troy Saunders. Didn't get credit for all of the tackle, but he certainly slowed down the progress of Morgan Kane.
We watch Jack Parkman. We watch other receivers catch passes with Florida State guys and make people miss. Very seldom do you see somebody make these guys miss. I mean, they get to you, they swarm to the ball and cut you off.
Got a couple of yards on the play. It'll be 3rd and long for Sankey. Looking downfield, picked off. Intercepted by Dexter Jackson. His 2nd of the season. Might have been deflected by one of the linebackers, and Jackson comes away with a pick.
One of the interesting notes about Sankey, who led his high school club, Whitney Young, to a championship, had 21 touchdowns, no interceptions. And I think you're right. It was tipped by the receiver, and Clark got a hand on it.
4 interceptions, 5 interceptions on the day now for the Florida State defense, who came into this game with 17, so 22 interceptions in 10 ball games. It shows you how well they play on that side of the football. Chris Wanke into the game at quarterback, and they run the reverse. Peter Warwick Gets a couple and then gets a late hit at the end of the play. Clinton Wilburn got to the pile too late. And Warwick is still down.
Yeah, those hurt, man. Because when you relax your body, you hit the ground, you know you figure it's going to be called, and then you get walloped. That Warwick, I really like his style. But this here hurts you. Oh, yes, that's a spear.
Yeah, right between the shoulder blades. I'm sure he's had the wind knocked out of him.
Oh, yeah, it's 270 pounds. Oh, my goodness.
Well, and the ball's underneath you as well.
Yeah.
That adds to the problem.
Well, you can break a rib. I mean, he's lucky if he comes out of this unscarred.
He's up. Clinton Wilburn's to the sidelines, and Jim Caldwell quickly getting him out of the ball game, because you can handle the sometimes being late to the pile, but when you add the spear to it, that gets the coaches mad. The unsportsmanlike conduct penalty takes it down to the 34-yard line.
You can get big hits, but get them in the framework of the play.
Chris Weinke, the freshman at 25 years of age, putting up the pass down the middle, and he had it right on the mark to the tight end, Ryan Sprague. Pretty good coverage, and it falls incomplete.
Woo. He threw a rope. When you can stand on the sidelines for that long a period of time and come out and throw icicle, that's impressive.
Weinke 5 of 10 on the year coming into the ball game with a touchdown. Spent 6 years in the Blue Jays minor league organization, but decided to get back to football. Nothing there for Vanez Gooch. He can't even get back to the line of scrimmage. Robert Fatzinger there. It'll make it 3rd and long for Weinke with less than 3.5 minutes to go for Bobby Bowden before he can officially start worrying about Florida. The people down here make that a year-round obsession. Bobby fortunately can shorten it down to a couple of weeks here and there. Weinke flushed out of the pocket off his back foot. What a catch. Penalty flag down there, but what a grab by Carver Donaldson, another tight end, a 25-yard gain.
What a game for these tight ends as a unit, man. These guys, they'll have so much fun at practice next week. And Weinke shows you he's throwing off the back foot, which you're not supposed to do, but when you have a cannon, you can get it done. Great extension. Well, that's a good catch.
Doc, he was just the shortstop in the hole, making the backhand stop and throwing to first. 25-yard completion to the freshman Donaldson out of Lakeland, Florida. This is not a running up the score situation. You're trying to get guys playing time. Kid like Gooch, the freshman, trying to get a chance to play, and you want things to happen. Weinke, you want that game condition. There's nothing that you can simulate in practice to equal a game.
Not at all. The young man deserves that from going through practice, lifting weights, running.
6'5", 225-pounder. He was wanted by everybody out of Creighton-Durham High School in St. Paul, Minnesota. Wanted to play baseball. Now he wants to play football. 2nd down. They can get a 1st down just shy of the goal line. Weinke running into a few bodies, and he and David Moore with the bear hug at the 10.
A little bit bigger than David as well. David about 195 and Chris lumbered at 235.
Listen to this little tete-a-tete.
You don't get this in baseball.
Oh. 6'5", 225 pounds. He and Kendra, they probably take turns saying, I'm tougher than you are.
That's his weightlifting buddy. I need a spot.
3rd down at the 10. Weinke running the fade route.
Got it.
Touchdown. Jermaine Stringer. And that ball was perfect.
What he showed in those 4 passes, that he had the gun, he could go across the middle. He shows touch on the fade. I mean, he tries to run over strong safeties. I think he made a good decision with an exit to baseball.
Season high in points for the Seminoles. Jermaine Stringer, the sophomore out of Atlanta, Georgia, gets his second touchdown catch of the year and did a nice job with it. Janikowski's conversion is good. 1:56 to play. Florida State letting everybody know that they want that national title.
Today's game was brought to you by Pepsi, Generation Next, by Nations Bank, by Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people. And by Nationwide Insurance. Check the yellow pages for the nationwide agent nearest you.
Savage on the return.
Got some pretty good special teams going as well today. Hasn't been really a breakdown. It hasn't been sloppy. Have been some penalties on Florida State, which has cost Warwick a couple of punt returns. But other than that, the effort has been good.
Miles Savage has had lots of opportunities to at least field kickoffs. A lot of times Janikowski's made them unplayable. Final 2 minutes of this one. Ben Sankey will try again to move Wake downfield, and instead he'll go down to the field. Another sack for the Seminoles, their 11th of the ball game. This time it's Ryan Malone, the freshman out of Frisco City, Alabama. What a day for Mickey Andrews' defense. The coordinator has seen his team with 11 sacks for 64 yards in losses. Sankey dumps it out, and Kai Sneed is ridden to the turf in a hurry by Brian Allen.
I think it was a great award with the Broyles Award for the top assistant in America. And Mickey Andrews, the recipient.
Ohio State, they're hoping to still be alive in the national title hunt. They knocked off Illinois big. They'll play Michigan next Saturday in Ann Arbor. Sankey on third down, steps up and fires, picked off. Troy Saunders with the interception. No, number 41 make that. Clevin Thomas with the interception, the 5th of the day for the Seminoles. Season high for the Florida State defense. Wake Forest the worst in the conference at turning the ball over, and it's been 5 times today.
Function of pressure and an ill-advised throw, I mean, to say the least, but you're under pressure from day one. Here's the finish. You throw, you get hit. Florida State style.
And the freshman Clevin Thomas gets his first collegiate interception. And Chris Wanke will just toss it to Davey Ford, who will go down inside the 18-yard line. A little bit of this and that at the end. That might be, well, they'll have to run one more play perhaps. Bobby Bowden on his way to another win. And a 10-0 start to the season, and a good year for Jim Caldwell as they go 5-6, not the way they wanted to finish it, but a good year for Caldwell.
Yeah, they're taking the next step.
Florida State, again, ACC champions as they go undefeated in conference play and now 10-0 on the season. This afternoon in their final home game here in Tallahassee, they win it by a count of 58-7. For the 6th year in a row, Florida State has a piece of the ACC title. The final here in Tallahassee, 58-7.